were official or alternate slates of electorates ordained by the governors of these states. Can you please give me any evidence of that?
I would have to look at that or look it up.
Do it.
I don't know the.
You're not going to find it, dude. What you will find, by the way, on archives.gov, what you will find is archives of emails from the governor's offices of these states, sending emails to members of Congress, sending emails to the Speaker of the House, sending emails to Mike Pence, saying, we have no fucking clue where these votes came from. We have no fucking clue where they came from at all. That's what you'll find. While he's looking for that evidence, we're going to get another Trump supporter up here. AZ Toy Collector, thank you so much for the $25 over on that YouTube super chat. Thank you so much, AZ Toy. AZ says, thank you to you and Parker for helping me see the light and starting to look at things with an open mind. Dude, that's awesome, AZ. I'm really happy to hear that. That makes me like the happiest man in the world. I think that is quite frankly fantastic. That is the single-handedly the biggest reason why I do these streams. So I just think that's awesome. Show some love to AZ down below in that chat. I want to see 250 W's. And we got our next Trump supporter loaded up in while that other guest is looking for evidence. Welcome in, man. Do you support Trump?
Hey, Dean. How are you?
Doing all right, Nick. Are you MAGA?
So I'll be completely honest. I do lean more towards the right. I will say that my purpose here is not really to debate you. I will say I've also...
All right, Nick. Well, unfortunately, we are just looking for debates, man. You sound like a nice guy, though, so please don't take me kicking you as any like symbol or form of disrespect. What's up? Do you support Trump?
I just want to say hi.
Child. Oh, I kicked the other guy instead of the child. Yo, Ryder, when you're done doing your evidence, just hop back in that queue and I'll have you back up. When you're done looking for that evidence. You may never be done looking for that evidence, though, because it doesn't exist. But, you know, if you get to a point where you think you found something, feel free to hop back in that queue. I didn't mean to kick you. I meant to kick the fetus. What's up? Are you MAGA? Hello?
I don't want to be here. I don't know what happened.
All right, then don't hop in that queue. Moving on to Rick. Here we go, guys. Hannah, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo. Appreciate you for that love, Hannah. Paige with the $5 as well, saying thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Hannah and Paige. Lewis with a 2, Caleb with a 1. Thank you guys so much for your kindness, as well as Elliot with a $5 who says, this dude speaks like he's trying to fill the minimum word count on an essay. Well, I mean, I would levy that insult against him if it wasn't something that I do myself. I'm very verbose. What's up, Rick? Do you support Trump? Rick, you have 5 seconds before I move on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, man.
Give me a second.
Do you support Trump?
Yep.
What's up?
Yeah, sorry, I had to go into my office.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
I do.
Yeah, go into your office. Let me thank Mike real quick. Thank you so much, Mike, for the $40 on PayPal. All the love to you, Mike. Thank you so much for the 40. Mike with a 40 says, love that you're still educating MAGA. Let's go. Thank you so much, Mike. I'm happy that you're here. I hope that you're enjoying the stream. Everybody show some fucking love to Mike down below in that comment section. Thank you so much for the $40. You were quite frankly fantastic, as well as Uncle. Thank you for the $10 over on Super Chat. And Uncle, the answer to your question is no. Thank you so much, Mike and Uncle. Show some love to Mike and Uncle. Rick, go ahead and take it away. Why the hell do you support Trump?
First of all, thanks for having me on your show. Just because how he ended the G-side in Gaza.
Yeah, so point number 1, he didn't. Israel has already broken the ceasefire. They dropped bombs on Palestine not even a day after the quote-unquote peace deal was signed into effect and killed 12, and now they are re-restricting aid going into the Gaza Strip. So, not true.
You're glitching out.
I'm glitching
Sorry.
out. Do you need me to repeat myself, Rick?
No, I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I'll repeat it again. So you said he ended the genocide in Gaza.
Sorry.
Not true. Oh, we're experiencing some technical delays here, I'd assume. Let me know when I'm
I
ready
can
to
hear
go.
you now. I'm good.
Okay, fine.
You're good to go. Sorry about that, Gene.
All right. So you said
I got good service now.
So you said he ended the genocide in Gaza. That's not true. The peace deal that was agreed to was violated by Israel less than a day after it was signed into effect. They dropped bombs and killed 12 Palestinians, and now they are re-restricting food, water, and aid routes into Gaza again. So that deal's already off the table. It's already ended because it's already been violated. Thank you for that, Galaxy. I appreciate you.
Would you agree that I guess the G sign has slowered its pace then? I mean, nobody was helping the Palestinians. Wouldn't you argue that like this did benefit the Palestinians, even though it's maybe not a true ceasefire?
Okay, well, I mean, it benefited the Palestinians just as much as the other ceasefires that have been agreed to then violated, including 3 under the Biden-Harris administration.
I see. Honestly, that's the only reason why I'm in my mind. Because I watch your show a lot. You do bring up good points on why he's a bad president, but I just felt like nobody was helping out the Palestinians around the world. Joe Biden, he like contributed to Israel. You know, I don't know. I'm not as well versed as politics as you are, but I just don't think that we should be funding Israel and AIPAC, and I don't know what your thought about AIPAC and how they fund both parties, both the Democrats and the Republicans. What are your thoughts about AIPAC?
Yeah, so big thumbs down to AIPAC. It is a uni-party issue to some extent. However, I would say that the right is significantly more pro-Israel than the left. Not only does this show in the representation of the parties, like for instance, when Trump was debating Biden, he called Biden a quote-unquote dirty Palestinian, said Kamala Harris was going to have pro-Hamas radicals running her foreign policy, and that he's the most pro-Israel president that we've ever had. Not to mention his joint press conference with Netanyahu, where he was like, sign us up, the U.S. is now going to go into Gaza and personally ethnically cleanse every Palestinian that remains. And this also shows in the polls of the party. For instance, 71% of Democrats under the age of 50 do not support Israel. Meanwhile, only 50, which is still high, by the way, 50% of Republicans under 50 do not support Israel.
Okay, well, can I ask you a couple more tricky questions? Because I just like your perspective about this topic. Well, if that's all right.
We're looking for debates.
No
feel free to ask one more question, then I'm going to remove you, look for the next guest, but I'll answer your question.
Here's my last question then. Well, because I just want to expand on AIPAC. Do you think eventually, maybe within the next election or the next 2 or 3 elections, that we will have besides like a 2-party system for elections, we'll have more like different parties come out? And do you think, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to trail this question, but do you think AIPAC will be a deciding factor for voters in the next election?
Okay, well, I'm going to answer that question. I don't know if we're ever going to introduce ranked choice voting. And if we don't do that, then I don't think like third parties will really be too predominant to like potentially win a federal election. But I will say, I think that, like Israel's influence on our politician is going to be significantly reduced in the next like 3 or 4 elections, just as, like the older generation stops voting or dies, and then like the younger generations get older. I think that we'll see like a very strong anti-Israeli sentiment amongst even the average American. Welcome back.
But yeah, bro, I don't know if it's because I'm on live with you. Like my internet is just fucking not responding. It's like really slow. Like I can barely type out a sentence without it spamming one letter. So yeah, I wasn't able to find it. So I will concede that point. I wasn't able to find any evidence that the governors of any of the states really signed on to that. But I still believe that if you are under the impression as the president of the United States that the election was rigged, which I would argue is a very serious issue, then you're going to exhaust every avenue to remedy that situation, right?
Yeah, man, you're just setting us up for failure. You're setting this country up for failure because now what you're saying is that if Donald Trump thinks that something was stolen from him, then he has the right to get it back regardless of what the means are. This is propping us up for midterms. This is propping us up for the next general in 2028, where we'll have the Trump administration, right, sending the National Guard to take the voting machines back to D.C. and then have him and his administration count the votes themselves and try to rig the outcome again. And by the way, if what I just said was far-fetched, what I just repeated was the contents of a drafted executive order by the Trump administration before the 2020 election that never passed, right? That he never
Right. So don't you think that, again, if he would have gone as far as to, or the people around him were as tyrannical as to allow these quote unquote fake electors, that they would have allowed as well him the ability to take the voting machines? Like, why stop there? So that's proof that the law actually.
He literally drafted an executive order to do just that, but he never signed it into law. So it's
right.
He didn't
at
stop
the
there.
advice of the people around him, correct? So
no, incorrect.
He could have disagreed with that.
I don't think we know the reason.
He could have still signed it.
I don't think we know the reason why he never signed that executive order into law. If I had to assume, it's because he probably thought that his way would have been more successful, which was to have his supporters show up to the Capitol while they were doing the vote, and then to pressure Mike Pence into certifying his fake votes as real. Excuses. I think that you're spineless, sir. If I think that you are a murderer, and I have no evidence that you're a murderer, I just think it because. Does that give me the right to break into your house and forcefully haul you away in the back of a U-Haul van?
No, you're not the president of the United States, sir. That's the difference, right?
Wait, so
you
you're
don't
saying if
have
the president thought that
you
you were a
don't
murderer
have-
with no evidence, you think that'd give the president the right to show up at your door and
No,
arrest you
you
forcefully and throw you in the back of a U-Haul van?
You didn't swore by oath to protect your house, right? That's the difference. You didn't swore by vote by oath to unalive me for doing that. The president of the United States is under oath to protect the state. Now, again, I don't believe.
So I just want to clarify here. If you think that Donald Trump has the right to prosecute American citizens for crimes he thinks they have committed with no evidence and no due process in court.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It is what you're saying, because I just asked you if me thinking that you're a murderer would give me the right to like take you away and prosecute you myself, even if I had no evidence. And you said, no, Dean, you're not the president, implying that if I was the president, if I was Trump, because Trump is president, therefore I would have the right to do that if I was in his shoes, or he has the right to do that right now because he is the president. You're not. I don't even think that you're listening to the words that are coming out of your own mouth.
I was literally
but I think the fact that I'm trying to demonstrate
hypothetical.
here is you're saying that you're okay with Donald Trump trying to rig the outcome in 2020 because Donald Trump thought that he won and it was stolen from him with no evidence whatsoever. I think that this is you just now being an authoritarian yourself. You just said that you're okay with the president trying to rig the outcome of an election just because he thinks it was stolen from him without reason or evidence. You're a goddamn authoritarian.
Never said that. And again, I was just entertaining your hypothetical, bro. And actually, if the president do perceive you as a threat, you're going to have your day in court, right? Obviously. But again, I don't know why we're going down this route. I don't think the election was stolen. I just don't think that Donald Trump tried to rig the election because at the end of the day, he was in command of the military. He could have taken the voting machines. He could have stopped certification if he wanted to. He was the most powerful man on earth, but he chose to step aside.
He tried to. He tried to stop certification.
But he did not.
Yes, he tried. He tried to, and he failed.
He failed. So an authoritarian wouldn't mind if they failed. They would have still remained in power. Again, it was a messy situation. I think the way that it was handled from the Kraken that was supposedly to be released. Like,
so you're saying that because he tried to like overthrow the government, he tried to rig the outcome of the election, but because he failed, that means he's not an authoritarian. So if somebody tries to grape a child and they fail, does that mean they're not a threat to children?
You are the king of hypotheticals. I will give you that. Like it's not even apples and orange at this point because that's completely irrelevant to the conversation.
No,
bro.
I think that the logical parallel is absolutely clear. Donald Trump tries to overthrow the government. He tries to overthrow the election of the country, and he fails. He's a threat to the government. He's a threat to the country. Just like if somebody tried to grape a child and they failed, they'd still be a threat to children.
I disagree with your characterization. I believe that he tried to remedy a situation where he thought that the election was stolen from a free country. And I don't see anything wrong.
What was his remedy?
His remedy was to not put someone in power that did not win the presidency.
So you're saying his remedy was to try to prevent Biden from being president? So if he was wanting to prevent Biden from being president, then who do you think he wanted to be president instead?
Himself, because why would you install somebody that did not win the presidency?
I just want to clarify that you're saying you don't think that Donald Trump tried to rig the presidency. He just tried to prevent Biden from being president, and he tried to install himself.
Of course. Why would you install someone who did not win the presidency? If you believe that the election was stolen, why would you give that to somebody who the people did not vote for?
Oh my Jesus Christ.
It makes perfect sense to me. You aren't going to give the election over to somebody that did not win.
It makes perfect sense to you to think that, no, Donald Trump didn't try to rig the outcome of the election. He just tried to prevent the winner from gaining the presidency, and he tried to install himself in the presidency even though he was a loser. You're fucking geeked out of your mind, dude. You're outrageous. Oh, I didn't try to drink that glass of alcohol. I just picked up a glass, put alcohol in it, and attempted to drink. I didn't try to drive my car. I only put my shoes on, got my wallet and my phone, put them in my pocket, unlocked it, grabbed the car keys, went into the garage, opened the garage door, got inside the car, put the keys in the car, then reversed out of the driveway. I didn't try to go live and have these debates today. I just put a clean shirt on, sat down in my chair, turned on my PC, opened up OBS for TikTok and for YouTube, clicked the go live button and set a thumbnail. I didn't try to have this conversation with you. I just specifically looked at you in the guest request, hit accept, had you up on the live, and asked you if you support Trump. Trump didn't try to rig the outcome of the 2020 election. He just, tried to prevent Biden from gaining the presidency, even though Biden had won both the popular and electoral vote by the voice of the people, for the people. And then he attempted to install himself as president by installing fake votes for himself in Congress. Do you see how insane you sound?
So you just happen to think that it's a coincidence that the votes that the Democrats got traditionally every election cycle went up 20 million votes for one election, and then all of a sudden reverted back to where it has conventionally been for decades, approximately the average vote that you receive every presidential cycle as a Democrat, right? That's just a coincidence. In the most important election to Democrats, they just didn't went out and vote. They just chose to stay home when someone who they believe is going to be the next Schmittler and put black people in chains and take women's rights away. They just chose to sit on the couch, right? 20 million people.
Okay. Well, I mean, therefore, Donald Trump also faked votes in the 2020 election, since Donald Trump got more votes in the 2020 election than he did this time. Around 8 million people showed up for Trump in 2020, then didn't show up for Trump in 2024. Wow, I guess this means that Donald Trump faked votes. Do you see how I could take your logic, turn it back against you, and just make you seem insane?
Right?
Like, this is like literally what conspiracy theories, this is what a conspiracy theory is. And guess what? Even if your question has some merit to it, I think it is quite interesting that Biden got more votes than Obama, got millions more votes than Kamala Harris did in 2024. It's real interesting. Maybe he installed fake votes. Guess what? That was the question in the minds of Donald Trump's Election Integrity Committee that he had funded millions of dollars to investigate its outcome following the 2020 election. They found all the evidence they could of their hypothesis, gave it to Trump. Then Trump took that evidence to 63 hand-picked courts, presented it to them all. They all told him, absolutely not. You are wrong. There's not enough evidence to demonstrate that your claim is true, including 34 hand-picked courts with Republican-appointed judges and even 16 with judges that he put there himself. So,
By the way,
do you see how your speculative hypothesis here maybe is interesting enough to be investigated by a handful of courts? But guess what? When all the courts say that it's wrong, when they can't find any evidence after 4 years, I think we could lay it to rest.
By the way, 20 million versus 8 million is a laughable argument. And beyond that fact, the courts largely ruled on technicalities. Like, for example, the Supreme Court tossed it out because they didn't have standing, right? These weren't merit rulings. They were simply based on the fact that either the right people didn't bring them, or whatever stipulation within the filings was not qualifying of actually being heard by the court. They didn't sat there and say, well, there is no evidence of the election being rigged. They simply say, look, you have to get this lawsuit in by someone else because you cannot bring it. And by then, of course, Joe Biden was going to be sworn in because you only have a month. These court cases take years to finalize. Like, obviously, that was just dead on arrival.
Donald Trump still has the still has the ability to pursue litigation on the outcome of the 2020 election today, by the way.
And it's actually being investigated. Look, and if at the end of the year,
it's still being investigated. The truth will come out. Fun fact, I've been doing what I do now for a while, couple years. 3 years ago is when I started doing these debates, and I had Trump supporters telling me the same shit then that you're telling me now. Well, the truth is right around the corner. It's gonna come out, right? It's gonna be a rollover of the Democrats. It's gonna be D-Day for the left. Donald Trump is gonna prove that Biden stole the 2020 election. 3 years later, we're still hearing the same sorry shit from the same sad people. Get over yourself. Stop entertaining this delusion. You're defending a maniac that tried to coup our government. Admit it. Grow a spine, dude. It's not just for your future. It's not just for the intents and purposes of this debate, but it is for the integrity of elections in America and for the future of America as well.
Dean, all we're asking for is for it to be looked at, right? Look, if at the
It's
end of the
already
year,
been looked at. It's been
if
incessantly investigated
I'll say
on the
this,
local
right?
level, the state level, and the federal level. The
If by
2020
the
election
end,
is not only the most audited election recorded in American history, but the safest election recorded in American history.
look,
It
if
is
by the
absolutely
end,
insane. And by the way, the election was so safe, they couldn't find anything to do to make it safer. And that's why, after years of screaming about it, the GOP hasn't even passed one law in the last 8 months through Congress to make elections safer because they're already safe, sir. You fell for the big lie.
so look, if by the end of Trump's second term, like this was looked at and there's nothing that become of it, and fine, sure, absolutely, Joe Biden won, and if Donald Trump at that point is still bitching about it, then I will be against that, right? All we're saying is for this to be fairly looked at on the merits. And that's all. You weren't going to do that from November to January. You're not going to do that within the span of 2 or 3 months, right?
So what
Like,
specifically, what specific claims and evidence do you think have merit to prove that Trump won 2020?
well, I think the just the sheer volume of paper ballots that was just so carelessly sent out and handled, quite frankly, I think that needs to be looked at a little closer
Yeah,
just to
don't
make
worry.
sure.
The actual ballots, the actual votes, they've already been independently audited by just about every independent audit investigation company for the outcome of elections in America in the last 4.5 years. Every single one of them has come to the same conclusion. It was the safest recorded election in American history. That's already done.
So you don't think there was anything wrong, and this is why I say I really don't think stolen
It's
is
not
the
that I
right
think. I
word.
think that it's proven
It
that the
was
2020
no,
election is the most
no. What I'm
is the
saying is
safest
like
election in recorded
I don't
history.
like to use the word stolen. I like to use the word rigged because that's more appropriate. Like you don't think states that went and changed their election laws outside of the state legislature, which is the correct way to go about doing it, but they did it in such a rush and they completely bypassed the regular order and process that you would normally take right before the election and to benefit Democrats. You don't think that's manipulation and that's some sort of rigging? Of course they use the excuse of COVID or whatever, but come on.
Wait, the same way Donald Trump used the excuse of COVID to bypass the typical FDA procedures to fast track the approval of the COVID vaccine. Yeah, during like widespread national health emergencies,
Bro,
there's particular emergency
you're not
procedures that
making
can be
that
used for the expedited approval of things that are necessary. It was necessary to expedite the approval of the vaccine, just like it was necessary to expedite the approval of additional time to count mail-in ballots before the election because of the higher amount of mail-in ballots that were expected due to the fact that there's a declared public health emergency. Right? And now you're no longer talking about the merits of it being rigged, but now you're just saying, well, wah, I'm a fucking baby. I wish that not all votes were counted, so then Donald Trump would have won without
Bro,
convincing the
I
vote of the
didn't
majority of
even
Americans. Really sad day for this sad Trump
I'm
supporter.
not being a baby. I literally didn't
Dude, you're
even
such a
vote in.
snowflake. You're still whining about
Bro,
something that happened
it's
5 years
not
ago.
that
Get over the
serious to
fact
me.
that your guy lost, dude. I'm so sorry that Trump didn't get his way. You're whining just
Dean,
as hard as he is.
I did not even go out to vote in 2020. It's not that serious to me. It's more of a concern to make sure that, if I did vote, that I would like my vote to be credible. And that, but let's move past this, bro.
Let's move past the topic that you have no evidence for because you're such a sick MAGA
Sure.
cultist. I mean,
You made a good argument, right?
Okay, sounds good, man. One last comment.
You made a good argument, right?
One last comment, then we'll move on to the next topic. I just want you to understand that your beliefs, your rhetoric, and your statements here, right, are terrible. It extends beyond the mind of you just, forming conclusions without any evidence. And it goes to the point of emboldening the current administration to maybe find ways to rig the midterms or rig the next general. I mean, seriously, what you believe in is propping up an administration that is possibly getting ready for the largest attack on the American people in the history of this country come midterms or the next general, right? It's so incredibly harmful for that reason. You hate America, you hate the election process of America, you hate the Constitution, and it's sick. It's absolutely sick.
So me saying that the election wasn't stolen, but more so rigged, is me hating the Constitution. And how does that even correlate to the midterms? Like, how is he gonna rig the midterms election?
I mean, he's already said that, he doesn't want to have elections during wartime, and then now he's like shooting boats in the middle of the ocean and sending tweets out every single day, seemingly ramping up the anti-election rhetoric about the outcome of 2020. I mean, I think that if you're emboldening this, if you're accepting this, if you're agreeing with this, that's what is going to permit the administration socially to do this again.
I will say, as it concerned the midterm election, I am against the just blatant gerrymandering. I mean, they're just coming out and saying it, right? If gerrymandering wasn't such a bipartisan issue, then that's why I don't really make a big deal about it, because like both Democrats and Republican do it, but I don't think that you should do it, admit to it, and just be so blunt and like direct about it. Like, just don't do it at all. So I think what's going on in Texas and North Carolina, and I forgot the other state, like, you shouldn't be rigging the maps like that. And I think, quite frankly, whether it's California or New York or Texas, like, that should just be something that we can all agree that should not exist. And I don't think the president should be telling states to change their maps. I'll be honest about that, since we're talking about the midterms. But overall, like, I look at it as like, what you vote for, you have to weigh the good and the bad. And if it's a net positive, which obviously I think it's a net positive for the country, then you settle at that. But you're not gonna get a perfect candidate, right?
Okay. Well, a vast majority of the most gerrymandered states in this country are those on the right, so I wouldn't say it's a bipartisan issue there. And then you're just now still telling us that you think that Donald Trump is a pro for the country. Why is that? Why do you support Trump as president?
Right. So my biggest sort of the reason why I vote for him is immigration, for one, and for two, well, I don't even want to make a pro-life argument, because then I'm gonna have to go down the religion route. But immigration was number one. And
so you think that we should use the Bible to influence legislation that controls the bodies of women, but we shouldn't use the Bible to influence legislation that controls immigration policy? Because if you read
my argument
Leviticus
for
19 verse 34, God says, and I quote,
no, I never
right, you must
used
treat foreigners fairly, and you cannot treat foreigners any differently than you would treat the native born among you. And Donald Trump is doing the exact opposite of that within his immigration policy and reform. So why do you ignore that, but then you point towards the Bible to demonstrate why you're pro-life?
Well, I never use the Bible for these arguments, because it's just not gonna go anywhere. But the way I look at it is, as for the AB issue, I don't think that. Well, let's just start at the fact that 90 some odd % of ABs are elective. That's including C-sections and just termination of the pregnancy period. So, and quite frankly, if I were to sit here and ask you, look, let's make all ABs legal and take away elective AB. So let's include the life of the mother. Let's include sort of anomaly situations with abnormalities, and let's exclude grape and all these things. You're still gonna say, well, I don't want that offer. So quite frankly, you guys just want AB across the board, unregulated. And my argument is that you should not,
for the most part, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that you should end a life for inconvenience sake. That's my argument. And again,
you said that if that was a bad thing, you want women to have access to elective abortion. Like, he was like saying that as if that was the argument. No, that's exactly what I want.
It is a bad thing.
That sounds great. That's exactly what I want, sir. Good job. You're starting to understand.
It is a bad thing, to be honest, because look, and obviously you're gonna say, well, it's not a life, and sure, I don't know if you believe that or not, but at the end of the day, life starts at conception, in my opinion. So
that's a scientific fact, but that's not a moral argument insofar as why it's wrong to terminate that life. So the question I'd ask you is, well, why do you think that elective abortion should be banned?
Again, if you're going to make the argument that you can suspend a life because, okay, I don't have the money, or I'm going to school, my economics is not where it should be, and I cannot finance a child, then why stop at a preborn baby? Why not say, look, my 5-year-old, I cannot sustain this child's life, so I'll get rid of it. they're both a human life. One is just more developed than another. And if you're gonna say, well, my 3-year-old obviously is gonna go through puberty and become an adult. They're not through with development yet, so why shouldn't I unalive my 3-year-old before they grow up and learn about all these amazing things that they can experience in life and get married and have kids? I'll just unalive them so that way they don't know, right? The whole idea behind unaliving a preborn baby is they don't know, right? They haven't been born yet. They haven't experienced life yet,
Well,
right? Why
maybe you
not use
should
that argument for a 1-year-old?
maybe you should ask me for my position first. But I mean, I could tell you, I could teach you, I could inform you. So check this out. I don't think that our species classification nor the sequence of our genomes is what makes us morally valuable. Okay? What I believe makes us morally valuable is our very unique ability to subjectively interact with the world around us in a rational way. Consciousness, sentience, right? Those are the things that I think make us morally valuable. And according to the current neurodoctrine understanding of when the ability to deploy any level of sentience and or consciousness emerges is at around the 20 through 24 week point in pregnancy when the thymocortical connections are made. All right? And that is the reason why I do not believe that the life of a fetus is morally significant enough to grant it the right to life prior to that point, is because it does not have the ability to deploy any level of sentience, and the fetus does not possess a mind. Now, my argument gets a little bit more complex than that, but that's the baseline. The reason why I think it's okay for a woman or a girl to abort the fetus growing inside of her uterus is because that fetus does not have the ability to deploy sentience. And the reason I think it's wrong for a mom or dad to kill a 5-year-old child is because that 5-year-old child does have sentience. And I actually want to give you a chance to respond to that. I'll give you a chance to respond to that. But after I give you a chance to respond to that, I want to nitpick your original position where you said, if you think it's okay to do this to a fetus growing in a woman's uterus, then you must also think it's okay to do this to a 5-year-old. I'm going to nitpick the hell out of that. I'm going to internally critique that with a really cool analogy that I'll give to you in a bit. But before I do, feel free to respond to my last argument.
Right. So the argument that, okay, the fetus doesn't have sentience. Okay, why don't it have sentience? Because it was deprived of the opportunity to have sentience. That would be no different than me going and halting the process of something happening or finalizing and then turning around and complaining about, well, it never occurred. Well, no shit. You stopped it from occurring.
Yeah.
You literally intervene in the developmental biological process
And killed
of
it.
human.
Yeah, I don't think that
Right.
informs us anything
So,
about
you
the morality
using
of
the
the action.
argument that it doesn't have sentience is very sort of lackluster because it did not have
Because it's
sentience
depriving
on
it of
its
future
own.
sentience. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
So
think that's a good counter argument. I'll tell you why. So when a man and a woman are engaging in intercourse and they know conception's going to occur and they know that woman's going to get pregnant and then they know that fetus is going to grow up into an individual like you or I, if that man were to pull out or that woman were to revoke consent, then they would be depriving the existence of a future person from future sentience. Do you think that would make that action morally wrong?
that's a terrible argument because there was no conception. The
Okay.
whole idea of
Right.
AB is
And what is the reason there was no
has-
conception? The reason is that the man pulled out, meaning that he deprived a future being from future conception. It's just an extension of your logic.
not really. Again, I am speaking on the literal developmental process of a life that was conceived. Again, a
you're
life that
speaking
was
on
conceived.
you're speaking
You
on the
are speaking on
that's
two
actually not
separate
that's actually not
things
what
that
you're speaking
create
on.
life.
I will
You
happily
are
clarify that. I'll happily clear this point for you. Your point is not rooted within science. Your point is rooted within theoretics. Because your point
It's not
is that
theoretics.
yes, I am. I could prove it to you because your point is that you're depriving future sentience. Okay, where can you identify where I could see future sentience in the biology of a fetus? Exactly my point. You're talking about something theoretical and conceptual, the existence of something
So
that
you
doesn't
don't
even
believe
exist
that
yet.
life starts
Right? The
at
same way,
conception.
me saying that you can't identify future sentience
So-
under a microscope in the biology of a fetus is not me saying that I don't think the
So
fetus
you
is
believe
biologically
that
alive.
life
I don't know why you'd strawman my argument so much.
So you don't believe that life started at conception, if I'm understanding your argument correctly.
Well, then
Is that what you're
then
saying?
you're obviously not understanding my argument correctly at all.
No,
I believe that
that's
biological
literally
life
what
begins
you're
at the moment
saying,
of
because
conception.
again,
That's
if
not what I'm saying at all. Can you please demonstrate that's what I'm saying? Go ahead and repeat what I said
right,
that apparently was equivalent to the statement that the biological life of a fetus does not begin at the moment of conception.
because you are putting both a conceived zygote and egg on the same level as sperm and egg separately. In one scenario, you have a formed human being, something that is 100% a human being,
Yeah.
not an organism,
Yeah.
not a cell. It's a human being. On the other side of that coin, you have sperm and you have egg. To say that you are intervening in the quote unquote human development in something that's not even yet human, which is the sperm and the egg, to use your ridiculous example of pulling out, those two things are not on the same level.
Okay, I see what's happening here. You're equivocating your argument. So if you want to tell me that the relevant distinction between the counterexample that I gave to you and maybe like a fetus growing within a woman's uterus is that the fetus is its own individual unique human being and, you know, an individual sperm and an individual egg aren't, yeah, that's a fair difference. And you can make an argument out of that by saying, well, the reason why you think that abortion is wrong is because a fetus is its own unique human life and you think that all unique human lives have a right to life. But see, the equivocation that you're making here is your original counter objection to my position wasn't that I should value the fetus because it's a human, but it's rather that I should value the fetus because it will have future experiences. And in terminating the life of the fetus, you are depriving the existence, or more so preventing the existence, of a future person with future experiences. Okay, but guess what? There's many things that will prevent the future existence of a person with their own experiences. Abortion is one of them, but so is pulling out, so is revoking consent, so is taking a plan B. But now, if you want to change your argument to rather, well, it's actually not wrong to get an abortion for the reason being that you're preventing the future existence of a person with their own experiences, but it's rather wrong to abort a fetus because it's a human and killing humans is murder. We could talk about that. And in fact, we can begin our conversation on this new argument with a very simple question. Do you know what a zygote is?
Yes, a zygote is a conceived, basically the merger of an egg and a sperm.
It is a unicellular human organism, the first stage of human
But
development. Let me ask two more questions here. I'm constructing an argument. Are zygotes human?
Of course, anything conceived is human.
Are zygotes? That's not true. A dolphin fetus isn't a human, even though it's conceived.
No, I said
Anyways,
anything. Okay, any human conceived is human.
Yeah, any human's a human. Good point, Mr. Captain Obvious. So you agreed it's a human. Is it alive?
Yes.
Does it have future experiences?
Of course.
If you leave it alone, will it be a person like you or I in like 9 months?
The chances are substantially higher as opposed to it being aborted. It's not guaranteed, but
Yeah.
you know, I would rather.
So therefore, if you kill a zygote, is it murder?
Of course.
Okay. So do you know what an IUD is?
Yes.
An IUD is a form of birth control, right?
Yeah, it's a form of birth control, and
device. Right, and an IUD, its main function is to prevent conception occurring. However, its secondary function, which happens often, it's even listed on the package of the IUD, is to allow for conception to occur, allow for that zygote to come into existence, and then to prevent it from implanting into the uterine lining, essentially starving it to death. So, if a woman knows that a zygote can do this, okay, if a woman knows that an IUD can do this, has an IUD, is sexually active, then the IUD kills that zygote. Is that woman culpable for murder?
Yes, I still believe that is the ending of a human life. I think IUDs, particularly because of the reason you just mentioned, unlike other forms of birth control, in a lot of cases, the egg and the sperm would actually conceive and then be terminated. Now, obviously, we're never going to live in a reality where a woman is going to be charged with murder.
Do you think that we should?
I think in my world, if I could, anything that ends a human life should be considered murder. So I would say yes.
So you
But
think that in your best version of reality, women should go to jail for 25 for life if they
I
know that an
don't.
IUD can kill zygotes and they're sexually active and they do kill zygotes. What do you think the punishment should be for serial killing? Somebody that's like killed 20 people is going to kill another 20 more. I'd say I'm okay if they die. Would you?
Of course, obviously.
Okay, so if a
But
woman
my
is like
point is
incredible,
that
if a woman's like
there are.
hypersexually, one moment, if a woman is like hypersexually active, right, has an IUD, has killed 20 zygotes, is going to continue to be sexually active, we know she's going to kill 20 more. Would you be okay with sentencing her to death in your best version of reality?
I don't believe in the death penalty, just in general. But
But you just
if
told me that
your
you're okay with a
argument is to,
serial killer dying, so would you be okay with that woman dying?
oh my bad, I didn't hear the last part of your argument. But to stay consistent, um, I don't believe that either should unalive just because I don't think that it's the in the hands of the state to take someone's life. That's just my personal belief. But
So do you think
again,
that they should? What should happen to somebody that's killed 20 people and is going to kill another 20? Like dark hole for the rest of their life?
uh, yeah, yeah, of
So,
course.
so hypersexually active women that have an IUD that kills a bunch of zygotes, dark hole for the rest of their life, in your most preferable version of reality?
Yes, why not use a
Jesus
version of
Christ.
birth control? Why not answer me this, Dean, right? Answer me this.
So
Why
are we just gonna like
resort?
raise over the fact that you just said sexually active women on birth control should spend the rest of their lives in dark holes?
Yes, because what's unique to IEDs, there are alternatives. Why not use a birth control
Oh my
that does
God.
not go as far?
Jesus Christ, dude,
Why
that's
not use
insane.
regular birth control that does not result in the ending of a conceived cell?
Jesus Christ, man. Like, dude,
I'm just
that's so
against IUDs
crazy.
in
That's so
general, bro.
crazy. You just said, oh my
I'm
God,
not saying there
dude.
shouldn't be birth control, Dean. That's
Oh
not what
my
I'm saying,
God.
right?
No, what
I'm
you're saying is that
specifically
women with
speaking.
IUDs in your most preferable version of reality should be labeled as serial killers and should spend literally the rest of their lives in solitary confinement in some
Obviously,
CIA
I
black
don't
site.
believe. Obviously, I don't believe they're serial killers. What I am saying is that if you knowingly
Yes,
have
you do.
this
You
thing
can't argue that they're
inside of,
not serial killers, given that they've killed 3 or more zygotes with the use of their IUD, if you define a serial killer as a 3 times or more murderer.
I mean, fair enough, right? But I'm using serial killer in the sort of sense that we're used to knowing serial killers as. I'm not saying that these women are necessarily dangerous to society, but for me, this is why I didn't want to go that route, because for me, it's a moral argument rather than a sort of you're a danger to society. You should be locked away for the rest of your life.
Okay,
You know,
you just
that's not.
contradicted your whole argument. If you don't think somebody under your view who is like truly in accordance with your logic as a serial killer is not a danger to society, then you don't truly believe in your own view. You just told us out loud that you don't truly think what you're saying is true. And I appreciate you for admitting that, because I think we all need to agree that
No,
no,
I
women with
completely
IUDs that are sexually
think what I
active are
think
not a
is true.
danger to society because they're literal fucking murdering serial killers.
Well, babies aren't yet a part of society. That's the difference, Dean. You and I are here to be unalived by a serial killer. A child that is just gotten conceived isn't. That's why I say they're not particularly a danger to society,
Well, I
which
mean,
is why I
I'd
wouldn't.
say that a society is a collection of people, and if you don't think that babies would fall into that collection of people, then you're saying they're not people, contradicting your pro-life position that they are.
But I wanted to get back to your argument
Fuck.
where you said that okay, like, well, pulling out is also interfering with the future of that potential life. And the problem with that argument is that it's so broad in scope. I can literally use that for anything, and this goes towards sort of this butterfly effect that one thing leads to another, or what would have happened if I would have gone back in time and prevent my parents from meeting. Like, if I am driving and I get into an accident and I unalive somebody, I can literally use your argument to say, well, I just unalive somebody that could have potentially gave birth in the future to a child. You see how ridiculous that is
Well, actually,
when you're
funny enough,
talking about.
this isn't a failure of the argument. This is a highlight of the argument to just demonstrate the absurd, slippery slope nature of your original position, that it is morally wrong to engage in actions that will prevent the existence of a future person, when in all reality, if my fucking mom didn't divorce her first husband 30 years ago, she would have never met my dad today, and I never would have been here.
See, but my argument starts at conceptions. Your start before that. That's
Yes.
the difference.
Yeah, and you
That's why
clarified and you clarified on it, and that's when I said, okay. So what you're actually arguing is that you just think it's wrong to kill human life. So then that's when we got to the conclusion that therefore you think that women who are sexually active and have an IUD are serial killing murderers. We were actually able to clarify that your position doesn't have to do with the future of the fetus or zygote growing inside of the uterus of the woman, but rather just the mere fact that they are both human and alive. And that's when we entailed the very absurd conclusion that I just said, and I'll repeat it again, that you think women that are sexually active with IUDs are serial killing murderers that deserve to spend the rest of their lives in dark holes and CIA black sites.
So, given all the contraceptions and birth control that we currently have in society, right, in 2025, why should we have one such as IUD that is so radical the way it works, so very, I would argue, like gruesome to take a life? Why not resort to only having the birth controls that do not result in conception and then taking the life of that?
Because I don't really think that there's anything wrong with killing a zygote. So I think that option should be available because I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. And you're going to have a really hard time making a counter argument to this because 99% of people watching and just 99% of people alive agree with me. There's nothing wrong with killing a unicellular organism.
And you are a Democrat. Your audience is like 95% Democrat. What do you think is going to happen?
I kind of reject that. I kind of reject that 95% of the people in the live are Dems. I mean, earlier you were making some like shitty half-ass point, but it was better than.
Hey, I'm not hating, bro.
Had everybody in the chat spamming W. Yeah, like I think that there's a surprising amount of people in here that don't agree with me. Like just for instance, real quick, if you're Maga, if you're independent, if you don't agree with me, if you're not a Democrat, make yourself known in the chat right now. You know, show some show some love to the guests. Show some love to the guests real quick if you agree with them. And don't worry, people on my side of the aisle would not fake showing love to this guy that thinks women should be thrown in jail for the rest of their life.
Listen, I understand that my argument is very unpopular, and it's why I didn't want to go down this road. It's like very radical. It's very unpopular, and I get that. So fair is fair, right?
Do you even think that victims of rape should be denied access to abortion?
My honest 100% answer, and I'm not trying to trigger anybody, is no. Oh, you said should they have access or should they have abortions?
Should they have access to abortion?
Oh, my answer is no, simply because I don't think that an innocent life should be taken to remedy an unfortunate situation, right? I don't think because something unfortunate happened that an innocent life should pay the price for that. And there are plenty of babies that were born of grape, right? And you can't tell the difference between them or somebody that was not born of grape, you know? But again, that's never going to be a world that we live in. Yeah. Honestly.
Well, so you actually used more explicitly vulgar language when you were talking about a woman killing a zygote with an IUD, words like murder, words like serial killer, than you are now using in reference to rape, which you're merely calling unfortunate. I think that speaks very loudly about your care towards women and girls.
Well, I was trying to be TikTok friendly. I'm not going to sit here and scream the R word over and over again. Is it not an unfortunate situation?
I think it's more than an unfortunate situation. I think it's one of the worst occurrences that can occur to anybody.
Correct. But do you believe that the solution is, instead of having one victim, which is the woman that was grape, obviously, that's always going to be a victim, perhaps for life, because it's so traumatizing, why should we have two victims? Why should we include the child?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that the fetus would be a victim in that scenario. And I'll actually go ahead and give you an argument to demonstrate why this is the case and how you can even be pro-life and still yet think victims of rape should be able to access abortion and think that abortion is not morally wrong. Before I do, I'm just going to go ahead and thank a handful of people for their donations. TM, I appreciate you for the $10 on Super Chat, who says, I'm independent and I voted. What's your excuse? Your talking points are actually mindless. Don't have to be a dim to see that. Appreciate you for the $10, TM. As well as Sal, thank you so much for the $10 over on Super Chat, and I hope that the chat gives you some good tips. And Victoria Victoria. Thank you so much for another 50 Canadian dollars over on Super Chat. Thank you, Victoria. Victoria says, I'm just trying to eat my sushi and this snowflake is giving me a headache. I think that was in reference to the last guest, but it could also apply to this guy too. Thank you so much for the $50, Victoria. I want everybody watching to show some love to Victoria and all the donors down below. Seriously, Victoria, that is so fucking incredibly kind of you. $50 is a shit ton of money. Thank you, Victoria. As well as Matthew, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. Micah, thank you so much for the $5 as well. Isabella, thank you for the live. Thank you for the $5 on Venmo, who says, this guy has no clue what he's talking about. Couldn't agree more. Tyler, thank you for the $10 on Venmo, who says, wait until he learns what happens with masturbation. Man is going away for life. Shaking my head. So real, Tyler. Appreciate you for the 10. Charlotte for the $10 on Venmo, who says, abort this guest. Well, maybe after this position, I certainly will kick him. Thank you for the $10, Charlotte. Show some love to Charlotte. Aaron, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. Aaron, I have not seen that interview. I'll have to watch it. Thank you so much for the love. Rachel, thank you for the 10. Britton with a 5. Anna with a 10 on Venmo 40 minutes ago. Thank you so much. And Jennifer, Jen, thank you so much for the $60 over on Venmo. Holy fuck, Jen. Dude, let's get 600 Jen W's. Down below in that comment section, Jen says, I'm a Republican and I enjoy your videos. Whoa. Have a great day. Well, Jen, I mean, I appreciate you for the $60, but I gotta ask, why are you a Republican? No, come on, Jen. Stop being a Republican. Do it. You gotta stop. Come on, hop on the right side.
$60 from a Republican is wild.
I guess so. Appreciate you for the love, Jen.
More than the Democrats that were sending like $10. She sent $60. That's crazy. But hey, I'm not hating, man. You got something good going on, and I commend you on that.
I've had Democrats send me much more than $10. I'd like to clarify. I feel like that was just.
Hey, I'm not coming for you guys in the audience, I swear.
I'd also like to thank Robert real quick for the $25 on PayPal, who says 70-year-old Robert here. Good job with a Pete interview yesterday. You are a shining ray of hope in this Trump hellscape we're living in. Robert, good to see you again, my friend. I hope that you're doing well, and thank you for the $25. As well as Caden, thank you for the $8 on PayPal, saying that shirt is tough. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Caden. And then Christopher with a 7, Elliot with a 5, Vanessa with a 5, and let's see here. Lyric with a 1. All right, we are all caught up. I really appreciate you guys so much for your generosity and kindness. I think that 2 more came through there while we were just thanking those donors. 1 more, actually. Abby, thank you so much for the $2 on Venmo. Saying breaking news, the guest made a terrible point. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop back into the debate. The question I have for you, keep in mind we're talking about your claim that you do not think that victims of rape should be able to access abortion, would be what obligation would they have to sustain the life of the fetus?
Because not doing so would take a human life.
Okay.
Right. And my argument, just to clarify,
if they stop giving their bodily resources to the fetus, then the fetus would die. Therefore, they have an obligation to give their resources to the fetus. That is your position, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Hypothetical time. Okay. You make just enough money to fill your shelves with food, enough food to keep you alive for the next 9 months. Because you leave your front door unlocked at night, somebody's going to come in at midnight and steal half of that food to eat themselves. They're going to do this for the next 9 months. It is going to significantly, mentally and physically pain you. And there's even like a 3 to 5% chance that by the end of the 9 months, you're going to die from starvation. You could stop this person from taking half of your food in the middle of the night by merely locking your front door at night. But the thing is, if you do that, if you cut off their access to your resources, they're going to starve to death. So if we were to imply the logic that you suggested as it related to the victim of rape accessing abortion, you shouldn't be able to, legally speaking, lock your front door at night to keep the burglar from taking half of your resources, because if you did, that action would, by consequence, result in their death. Do you agree?
I'm officially W, the king of hypotheticals. Obviously, I do not agree with you at that point, Dean, because your arguments are too broad. It's literally broad. If I am in traffic and somebody behind me, the car behind me, the person is so hungry, they're trying to get to the nearest store to buy food and they unalive, am I responsible for that? Like, your argument can literally be used for anything.
Seemingly, you would have an obligation to get out of the way of the person in the car behind you, given that you knew if you didn't, they would die.
No, that's a ridiculous argument. Okay, no, I don't believe
so then you
that
don't have an obligation
should be responsible.
So then you don't have an obligation. One moment. So all that you're saying here is that you do not have an obligation to provide somebody else your resources to sustain their life. So then why does a victim of rape?
Because, again, for one, the person isn't a part of you, right? The person's development and birth does not directly rely on you as a person, as an individual, not starving to unalivement, right? That's the difference. You are talking about a complete stranger, separate entity that has absolutely no ties to you biologically to
Actually,
sustain their life.
there would be a direct tie in both circumstances. So you're saying that there's a direct relationship between a woman and her bodily resources and keeping the fetus alive, because if the fetus didn't have the woman's bodily resources, then the fetus would die, right?
Yes, that's literally how it's worked. How
Okay,
it's worked
so then
since
there's
the
a
beginning
direct
of
so then there's a
human
direct
existence.
relationship between this home intruder breaking into your house in the middle of the night and your resources, because if they didn't have access to your resources
my-
through intruding into your home, they die. So actually, in both circumstances, there is a direct relationship between the woman
Bro.
not cutting off access to the fetus for her bodily resources, and you in that hypothetical not locking your front door at night to cut off access from the home intruder and your food resources. It is a direct one-to-one analogy.
One is literally, I don't know, a biological process. You know, it's sort of designed to work that way. That's the only way it can work. And the other is some guy committing a crime.
You're saying it's the only way to work because the fetus didn't have access to her resources and they die. Well, the only way this person in the hypothetical could stay alive is if they had access to your resources, because we already implied that if they didn't, they'd die.
They can go get a job. They can apply for food stamps.
I don't think that you know what a hypothetical is. It's self-implied given the
Well, in
parameters
the
of hypothetical
hypothetical,
that if you locked your
yeah.
front door at night and cut off access to your resources, they would die from starvation. We could imagine some cabin in the middle of the woods. I don't care what you want to do with that information, but matter of a fact is you are now changing the parameters of the analogy that I gave you to attempt to make it non-equivalent to the circumstance of a victim of rape accessing abortion, meaning that actually the analogy in its original framing is equivalent to a victim of rape accessing abortion, or else you wouldn't have to change it in construction of a counter argument. So just admit your loss, admit that you've never thought this deeply on the subject, and admit that you are getting absolutely just destroyed in this debate by somebody that's not only more intelligent than you, but has put significantly more thought in. And honestly, if you could give me that concession, I think I'll go in on my merry way. And if you want to accuse the argument of being ridiculous, what I will ask you for is the relevant symmetry breaker, okay, that makes the victim of rape have an obligation to continue to provide her bodily resources to the fetus, but in the hypothetical does not give you as a homeowner an obligation to continue to provide the burglar with access to your resources of your food.
Right. So let me respond to your hypothetical first, and then I'll get to that, right? And I'm glad you used the word relevant, because that's exactly where I was going. Part of invoking a hypothetical is to sort of, actually use one that bears some sort of, that can be applicable to the real world. If you're just going to come up with a hypothetical situation that's, for one, never going to happen and not possible. You say that in this world, in this hypothetical of yours, the only way for this person to sustain life is by breaking into your house and stealing, and it's impossible for them to go get a job. Obviously, that's never going to exist. So your hypothetical, why would we even argue that point? You can literally just bring up ridiculous hypotheticals for any argument and shape them in such a way as to counter whatever argument is being thrown at you when they have absolutely no appliance to the real world. It literally doesn't matter, because it won't ever exist. If you want to use a hypothetical, let it be applicable to real life, something that we can relate to and actually might have a chance of experiencing. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
You can't just come up with
I'm happy I could educate you on these things. So, I mean, first and foremost, it's worth pointing out that the hypothetical scenario I gave you is not unrealistic. It's not impossible to assume.
Literally said the only way for that. Dean, no, I'm not being rude. You literally, this is why I brought up the job. You literally said in this hypothetical, that's why it's a hypothetical, that the only way for this guy to stay alive is by stealing your food. And there are no other routes. And that's why you shot down my counter argument. Why don't he go get a job? If he can break into a house, certainly he's physically capable of getting a fucking job. And you were like, oh no, that cannot happen because it's a hypothetical and that's all he can do. Obviously, that is very unrealistic.
Let me know when you're done. I just want to be able to speak.
I'm done. I just wanted to clarify. I didn't mean to interrupt you, I promise, but I just wanted to clarify. You did say that, to be clear.
Okay. All right. Well, now that I have the mic, and hopefully you won't interrupt me. Once again, I'll start from the top where I got interrupted at. The hypothetical that I gave you is not like impossible to assume it's something that could actually happen inside of reality. Okay. Right. Like a realistic example of this hypothetical would be somebody that lives alone in the middle of a forest where the nearest civilization is like 500 miles away, and there's a straggler that's been walking through this forest with a backpack with enough food, or what they thought was enough food, but then midway through their hike through this massive forest, they stumble upon your house and they look at their backpack and they realize they have nothing left. If they continue on without your food and water, then they're going to die. All of a sudden, we have a seemingly possible scenario that could actually happen in the real world, meaning that your objection is already null and void. But to continue, I do want to educate you on the nature of the critical examination of your logical principles and how we can use hypotheticals that are not even too seemingly like possible to actually occur in the real world. Like, for instance, media, books, television, and movies are all hypotheticals. Okay? When you're watching, for instance, a Superman movie, that is just the visual representation of this hypothetical version of reality that's non-realistic. Okay? But does that mean that when you are watching that Superman movie, you cannot look at this billionaire bald white guy named Lex Luthor killing this guy that kind of looks like a human, that's not actually a human because he's a kryptonite from a world millions of miles away, that also has superpowers and can lift like millions of tons and shoot laser beams out of his eyeballs. When Lex Luthor tries to kill this guy, right, can you take away the moral conclusion that it's wrong? Can you derive moral principles from engaging in this media that represents an incredibly unrealistic hypothetical?
No, because that's the point of media. Literally, the job of media is to create movies that exist outside the scope of reality.
So when you're engaging, right, and watching this movie that like is really like impractical to exist, right? When Lex Luthor tries to kill Superman, can you derive the moral conclusion that that would be morally wrong if this were to actually occur?
If it were to actually occur, sure.
Okay,
but
yeah. So what's more realistic? What is more likely to actually occur? Somebody like being reliant on the food that you have in your house with no other food options, or some goddamn superhuman from a planet called Krypton, millions of miles away, coming down to Earth, then getting stabbed in the neck with a rock by a billionaire white guy? Oh, but you're telling me you could derive principled moral conclusions from the Superman hypothetical, but you can't derive principled moral conclusions from this person that would be reliant on your food to live hypothetical? Wow, seemingly the only constraint for a hypothetical to be valid when used to test one's logic would be that hypothetical being logically possible, not physically possible, because guess what? Critical thought, conceptual and abstract attitudes, right, that we apply to our reasons and our arguments here, they actually don't exist in the physical world. They exist in the conceptual realm. And the only thing that something needs to be in order to be valid when existing in this conceptual realm of reality is it just like possessing logical validity. Now, the takeaway from the analogy that I gave you is actually something that can be applied in the real world. Because the takeaway of that analogy, where somebody is breaking into your house in the middle of the night, where they're taking half of your resources, and they have to do that in order for them to live, and if you prevent them from breaking into your house by locking your front door at night, they'll starve. The conceptual takeaway from that hypothetical is the conclusion that you do not have an obligation to provide your resources to a non-consenting third party against your will and consent, even if cutting them off from those resources would cause them to die as a result. Now that is an incredibly realistic takeaway from that hypothetical that can be applied to victims of rape that are impregnated and then are forced into providing their bodily resources to the fetus to keep it alive. I understand that critical thought is hard and not something that Trump supporters do often, and not something that the internet praises or upholds often, but here we are doing it nonetheless, and I'm happy I could teach you these things.
That was quite adorable, but I still think you're so beyond the pale of even realizing what you're saying, right? Again, you literally told me in the hypothetical that you gave me that the only way for this person to get food is by breaking into your house.
Yes,
Again,
yes, and then
in
you were
what
like, and then you were like,
world-
And then you were like, okay, Dean, so I can imagine a world where somebody is breaking into my house, stealing my food, and the only way for them to get food to survive is from my house. Even in this world that I'm now imagining and operating in inside of my head, I still think that I should be able to lock my front door at night and prevent them from gaining access to my resources, which then demonstrates the moral takeaway, which is you do not think you should have an obligation, right, to provide your resources against your will and consent to a third party, even if denying them your resources would cause their death. So why do rape victims? Do you understand it now? I can't find any other ways to describe
again,
this. Am I
all I'm
talking to a
saying-
goddamn rock with no ability to abstractly think whatsoever? It's not my fault that you're fucking stupid. And honestly, I'm getting mad now because I'm totally fine with individuals. I'm totally fine with individuals, right, not expressing, right, like a high ability to be able to track these conversations. I don't blame that on you, right? This isn't something that like the average American does on a day-by-day basis. But for you now to be so intentionally dense, for you to now like intentionally avoid the goddamn point, even though I've re-explained it to you 5 different ways, just to appeal back to your original false claim that I've already debunked a billion times over, in furtherance of your position that pregnant 9-year-olds should be denied access to abortion, thereby punishing them to bodily mutilation and torture. Like, I am starting to get a little bit upset. So let me ask you this question. Do you have any more reservations or concerns related towards my declaration of the hypothetical that I enacted to prove that even in accordance with your own train of thought and line of reasoning inside of the hypothetical, you did not think that you should have an obligation to provide your resources to a non-consenting third party, even if in revoking those resources, they would die?
Okay, so let me address exactly everything that you said. Again, I understand perfectly what you're saying, right? All I'm saying is that if we're going to use extreme, unrealistic hypotheticals, we can use that for anything. Let me help you out a minute and give you an actual hypothetical that would prove literally the point that you're trying to make, but can actually be applied in the real world, right?
No.
Let me help your argument for you, right?
Listen, you just said that your point was...
No, I'm getting to...
Listen, you just said that your point was, well, Dean, if you could use, right, these hypotheticals to dispute my worldview, then I could use hypotheticals to dispute your worldview. You're right. You can do that, and I will allow you to do that. So now that we've gotten past the hump of rejecting critical thought, now that we've gotten past the hump of rejecting the use of hypotheticals in the use of the Socratic method to better understand our principled moral conclusions, now that we've agreed I can use them on you and you can use them on me, can you please now engage with the fact that when I deployed that hypothetical to challenge your view, you affirm that you don't think you should have an obligation to provide your resources to keep somebody else alive, if even in revoking them they would die, so then why would a victim of rape?
I mean, I've already said that a million times, which is that one is a naturally occurring process, you know, something that's outside of your control, and one is not. And again,
Wait. So you're saying that one's outside of your control and then one is not outside of your control. So can you control that person from trying to break into your house to take your food?
That's the whole point of locking your doors.
Oh, so you're saying that locking your door would be you exercising control over the scenario, just like a victim of rape getting an abortion would be them exercising control over the scenario. So therefore, in this relevant sense, actors in both situations have a control over if this non-consenting third party can gain access to their resources or not. Therefore, this is not a symmetry breaker.
I don't know how many times I got to go back to the fundamental fact that one is a life that relies on you and the other is not. Like, that is literally
you're saying that the fetus is
argument.
You're saying that the fetus is a life that relies on the mother, because if it didn't have the mother, then it wouldn't be alive. Just like that burglar would be a life that would be reliant on your resources, because if they didn't have the resources, they wouldn't be alive. It also not a symmetry breaker. It's true in both circumstances. You're wrong.
let's just move on, bro, because you literally can make you can literally use ridiculous arguments for anything, and then this will just go on forever because
Exactly. So now you're back to the point
your
of saying
method of
now you're back to
debating.
the point of saying that you could use hypotheticals to dispute any and all moral principles. Congratulations. Yes, it's called the Socratic method. I'm happy like we've got you up to speed now. Go ahead and engage with mine, and if you
So
want to
what's
give
the
me one to my view, feel free to as well.
right? So because I know for a fact that all your ridiculous hypothetical, for one, is impossible to exist. That's why I'm sort of beyond the
It's
point of
dude.
debating it. We're
Wait,
literally debating
wait.
something
So,
that will never be reality.
dude,
And I'm trying.
dude.
I'll tell you this, right?
Wait.
For
Is it
future,
wait? Would you say that it's valid for people to have a debate on if like Lex Luthor is a good guy or a bad guy?
in the sense of debating comics and nonfiction and fiction, sure,
Oh, so
absolutely.
you just said that you could have a valid debate about something that's impossible to actually exist. Thank you.
Yes, because the context
Oh, yeah,
behind that
yeah.
is,
So all that you're saying that
fictional
even if this
creation.
hypothetical was impossible to actually exist, it's still valid to employ in the context of the debate because of the pragmatic, possible, and occurring circumstances where that conceptual takeaway can be applied to inform us about the nature of obligations.
One was created to solely be fiction, to escape reality, and one is reality. That is the difference. And again, use this example in the future because you're
No, you are going to be muted now, and you are going to listen to me very carefully. You have repeated the same objection 10 times. I'm going to lay it to rest for the 11th. Okay? And I want you to be able to engage with my like refutation of your objection. You're saying that this hypothetical is impossible to actually exist. Point number 1. I've already demonstrated scenarios where it could actually possibly exist, such as you living alone in a cabin in the middle of a forest that is thousands of miles wide, and a backpacker that is backpacking through this forest thinks they packed enough food and water for the trip. They hit the middle of the forest, they run out, they stumble upon your cabin. If they don't have access to your resources, they'll die as a result. All of a sudden, that is a place, a scenario where this hypothetical can apply that's actually like possible to occur. So the objection is dead right there. Okay?
are
Can
they
we
breaking into my
understand
cabin?
how the
Are they
objection is there? The
are
objection
they
is dead
breaking
right
into my
there.
cabin?
Yeah, we could
Are they
assume
breaking
that this
into my cabin?
person needs food, needs water. It's the middle of the night. They walk up to your cabin. They unlock the door. It's unlocked. They walk in and they take your food. Then they walk back out. And then they're like, "Shit, right? I'm gonna have to go get more food in order to make the rest of the trip." But they end up just staying there, and they do it every night. And then you discover that one night. Do you think that you should be well within your legal ability to lock that door to prevent them from coming in, if it would cut them off from your resources, causing them to die?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're doing it every night, you should have learned something by the, I don't know, 10th time of doing
Right,
that.
right. So there we go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, in less than 3 seconds, we just applied the hypothetical to something that could actually possibly happen in the world, right? And you're still yielding that same conclusion that you do not have an obligation to provide your resources to somebody else, even if in cutting them off they would die as a result. Now you take that silly little fucking critique of saying it's not possible to actually occur, throw it out the goddamn window, and engage like an intellectual.
Do you know what intent means?
Yeah,
Do you
I'm
know
familiar with intent.
you know what the difference is between a unaliver, a murderer, and someone who has caused the death of a person?
Uh,
Right.
I'm confused on the nature of your question.
So my point is that all taking of a life is not murder, but all murders involve a taking of a life.
Okay. Yeah, Mr.
And
Socrates, appreciate you for the nonsense gibberish. Just go ahead and respond to that hypothetical, my friend.
right. So again, AB is the intentful taking of a life.
Not just merely cutting the fetus off from access to the woman's bodily resources, causing its death as a second-order consequence. Well, it actually is in the circumstance of the abortion pill. The abortion pill, very similar to that hypothetical of you locking that front door, preventing the backpacker from gaining access to your food. When a woman takes an abortion pill, it just simply cuts off the supply of progesterone to the fetus through the umbilical cord, starving the fetus to death, just like that camper, that backpacker would be starved to death. So are you saying because that abortion pill doesn't intentionally kill the fetus, but rather cuts off access to resources to the fetus, that you're actually pro-abortion pill?
No, not at all.
Thank you. Then the point's dead
Because
in the water. You were just talking to talk. You weren't talking because these are actually things that you believe in. You weren't talking because these are like moral principles that you hold to be the case. You were just talking to talk. Dude, the only thing that
you are trying to equate the intentional taking of a life to impoverished situation, somebody who is unalive, and then it's all of a sudden my obligation to keep them alive. Shit, I can go walk down the street and find about 20 homeless people that might unalive if I don't go up to them and buy them food. It is not my obligation.
So then why is it the victim of rapes?
Again, because...
So then why is it the victim of rapes?
Again, I am using that to show that your example can be used for any situation where somebody is at risk of unalive. And the difference is that you are not taking the life, Dean. You are not saying, hey, doc, take this life outside of me. That's the difference. I understand you don't think it's a life.
We already accounted for that difference. If this was like truly what you believe in and you truly thought this was a relevant difference, well, then you'd be pro-abortion pill, because the abortion pill doesn't kill the fetus. It just cuts off access to progesterone through the umbilical cord, which starves the fetus naturally.
Oh, yeah, we aren't going to get anywhere with
this. Yeah, because you don't actually believe in the shit that you're saying. You're just spewing words to talk. You're finally met with somebody that understands logic. You're finally conversing with somebody that is willing to extrapolate. Your foundational beliefs here demonstrate how they're pure gibberish. You continue to repeat, oh, we're not going to get anywhere. That's not because I'm unable of getting anywhere. That's because you're unable of recognizing when you're playing goddamn hypocrite and you're not applying your foundational principles in all circumstances. You special plea about victims of rape. You special plea when it's a 9-year-old girl. You do not think that anyone has an obligation to provide their resources to keep somebody else alive. You don't think that. You only think that when it's about a goddamn victim of rape. And it's fucking depressing. It is so sick. It is depressing. It makes me mad. It makes me sad. It evokes all these reactions, because what it proves to me is that it's not about an obligation to sustain life. It's not an obligation about preventing death. It's just about your misogyny, sir, okay? Because if it was about an obligation to sustain life, if it was about an obligation to prevent death, well, then you wouldn't have said that you should be able to virtually kill the person by cutting off their access to your food. You wouldn't say that you don't have an obligation to donate to homeless shelters or make food for maybe a homeless individual living down the street, given that if you didn't do it, they'd die. You would, under your view. And I feel like you just got to come to terms and admit that you are not a principled individual.
Yeah, let me ask you this,
rationally,
right?
You think emotionally.
For someone that was great.
Emotionally. The only difference between the hypotheticals I've continued to give you and the circumstance of a victim of rape accessing abortion is not one of logic, is not one of reason. It is one of emotion. You just emotionally feel like it's wrong for a victim of rape, but you don't emotionally feel like it's wrong for you in the hypothetical. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I feel that murder is wrong. Let me ask you this, right? Say, someone that was raped, what can they do to undo that situation? From undoing the reality that they were, in fact, raped and experienced rape. Are there any remedies that can reverse that from having happened?
There's nothing that a victim of rape can do to reverse their rape.
Right. So regardless of whether they have the baby, right, or don't have the baby, the fact that they were raped would still remain a fact, correct? And that trauma that is invoked from that fact is going to be with them potentially for the rest of their life, regardless of whether or not they choose, to create a separate victim or not.
Okay. And then once again, you're just right back around to repeating the conclusion which is the fact that you think that the fetus is a victim and you think that that action is morally wrong. Listen, you're unbelievable, man. I just gave a complete reduction on your view. I demonstrated how it's devoid of any reason, fact, or logic, and then I just demonstrated how it's completely entailed given your own emotion. And then you just went back to the original claim that I've been refuting for the last 50 minutes.
I am telling you a separate claim, which is the fact that you cannot.
God. Well, then you're strawmanning my position. I don't think that victims of rape should be able to access abortion because it will reverse the rape. I think that victims of rape should be able to access abortion because she was forced into sex, she was forced into pregnancy, she was forced into providing her bodily resources to that fetus, so she should be able to stop the sustenance of her bodily resources to being supplied to that fetus. I should have no obligation to continue. And my reason for why she would have no obligation to continue to give that non-consenting third party access to her bodily resources and or domicile inside of her uterus, right, has been something I've already demonstrated as being entailed through the analogy that I gave you about somebody breaking into your house, stealing half your food. And the only thing you need to do to prevent that is to lock your front door at night. And you think you should maintain the right to do that, even if the person breaking in dies as a result, meaning that you don't think you would have an obligation to provide your resources to a non-consenting third party, even if in cutting off access to your resources, they would die. So therefore, logically speaking, a victim of rape shouldn't either. You were going to listen to everything that I just said. You were going to ignore every single word, and then you are going to attempt to either say that analogy is unrealistic, even though we've already disputed that and explained to you how that's false 5 times. You might say that, well, the fetus is directly relying on the woman. Then I'll just repeat myself for the 6th time, saying that that person breaking into your house is directly relying on your resources. Or what I think is more likely is you'll just completely ignore it all, then go back to saying, well, I don't think that a victim of rape should be able to make another victim out of the fetus.
No, actually, I'm gonna pretend to be you for a second, and I'm gonna use an extreme hypothetical to prove your point and how ridiculous it is. You say that, for example, the reason why she should be able to get an AB is because she was forced into an unfortunate situation, she was raped or whatever. So let's say
you're already strawmanning the reason. The reason is that she has no obligation to sustain the life of the fetus because she was forced into sex in the first place.
Okay, absolutely. So let's say
that's just a motivating factor of the conclusion, which is she has no obligation to sustain the life of the fetus, which is the reason I think that she should have access to abortion.
Right. It was largely outside of her control, on top of it being immoral and all of that. I get what you're saying. Now, let's say that obviously because of truancy laws, children are obligated to go to school. They're forced to go to school. So let's say somebody that's forced to go to school, then to use an actual realistic example that can exist in the real world, becomes a mascule pupuer, and because they were forced to go to school, they were subjugated to bullying, and they were subjugated to all these other things that caused them to take tens of dozens of lives. Can that then be justified for the taking of those lives, since you love extreme hypotheticals?
Obviously, the answer to your question is no, that wouldn't justify taking the life. I don't see the parallel between the two scenarios. I honestly have no clue what you're talking about.
They were forced to go to school. They did not want to go to school, and they were subjugated because they were forced to go to school, then to bullying, which ultimately caused them to unalive all of their bullies on top of innocent children. But it was all happening because they were forced to go to school.
So
like the woman was forced.
What's the relationship between the argument that a victim of rape should be able to access abortion because she has no obligation to provide her bodily resources to the fetus to keep it alive, and a bullied child in school should be able to kill 11 of their classmates because they were forced to go to school? What is the relationship between those two positions? Can you make them clear?
Absolutely. A woman was forced to give up her body to the rapist outside of her control. And so, under your worldview, she is justified in taking the life because she does not want to have a rapist by a baby.
You're already confused. So because she was forced into sex, because she did consent to sex, there's no feasible obligation that would exist for her to look after the well-being or maintenance of the life of the fetus, thereby giving her the right to abort the fetus and cut off access of the fetus to her bodily resources. Right? But just because children are forced to go to school doesn't give them the right or demolish the social contract and obligation to look after the better well-being of their classmates and not shoot them in the head and kill them. There's just no parallel between the two scenarios.
Whose is it who's the arbiter in deciding on whether or not it should be by law that a child should be forced to go to school?
So now you want to debate the social contract of forcing children to go to
Oh
school.
no, let's use a hypothetical, right? Let's say in a world
I just think
where,
that like I
let's
just think
say in a
that I just think
world,
that you fundamentally don't know like how hypotheticals work.
no, I completely know how hypothetical works. Let's say a world exists out there where there are no truancy laws, right? There are no sort of legalese behind children
Okay.
going to school and all of that. And then you have a parent that forces their child to go to
Yo,
school with
Rico, thank you so much for
crime.
the $25 over on PayPal. Who says we can all meet at the middle? Keep growing and wise and brave. Honestly, I think the middle right now is like further left than the Democratic Party. That's where I think we should meet. Fuck yeah. I'm just kidding. Appreciate you for the $25. It's very kind of you. As well as Danielle, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for that love, Danielle. Odessa, thank you for the $10 who says, please ask Gesta about mandatory vasectomies. Women can only give birth once a year. I'll have to read the rest of your donation, but I appreciate you for the $10. That is incredibly kind of you, as well as Makaya. Thank you for the $5 over on Venmo 40 minutes ago. And Tyler, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Danielle with a 5, Jessica with a 1, and Ariana with a 1. Thank you so much. As well as Julia, thank you for the $5 on PayPal. Molly with a 5, Julia with a 1, and let's see who else here. Shelly with the $10 over on PayPal. Thank you so much, Shelly. As well as I see your argument there. I'll have to read through it. I appreciate you. Yeah, the little shit left. Hey, guess what, sir? Fuck you. Get absolutely cooked. I'm so sorry that you can't think logically. Get absolutely broiled. Run, you coward. Run. Jesus Christ. Thank you for the $10, Shelly. I appreciate you for the love, as well as Anna. Thank you so much for the $10 as well on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love, Anna. Let's get 100 Anna W's down below in that chat, as well as let's get 200 Kyle W's for the $20 over on PayPal. Appreciate you for that love, Kyle. Kyle with the $20 says thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with all of us. You have made me so much more confident when discussing politics. That is awesome. Thank you so much for the love, Kyle, as well as Carrie. Thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal, and Corey with the $10 as well, who says you are such an amazing and powerful speaker. Well, thank you so much, Corey. Show some love to Corey, too. You are awesome. We're going to go to get that next guest up in here right now, but while we do, also thank you, Zara, for the $6 over on PayPal, Abby with the $3 on Venmo, Amelia with a 5, Taylor with a 5, who says, as a woman, I'm so happy you're on our side. Thank you for arguing for us. Well, I appreciate you for the $5, Taylor. It's not just arguing for women. It is arguing for goddamn diddly darn common sense. As well as Jojo. Thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. Let's get 200 Jojo W's. Thank you so much for the love. That guy got fucking broiled. He ran away like a coward. Jojo, I appreciate you for giving me that abortion hypothetical. I'm going to have to deploy that. Thank you so much for the $20, Jojo. And then Sandra, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo, who says, Dean is always walking the dogs. We love you over here. Good to see you, Sandra. Thank you for the 10. As well as Blake with the 10, who says, I wish I could come up with analogies half as accurate and effective as you do, man. It's honestly, it's like a skill that you learn the more that you do it. But I appreciate you for the $10, Blake. We are all caught up. We're going to go ahead and get on to that next debate with another Trump supporter right now. If you are watching right now and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal and the link tree in my bio on TikTok and in the pin message over on that YouTube stream. We're going to get that next guest loaded up here right now. What is going on? How old are you?
What?
Oh, it's like a 4-year-old. I actually invited that guy up because in the comment section he was spamming you didn't cook him, and then ended up being a 4-year-old. No, good to know. Just thank you so much. It was actually very kind of you. Thank you for that demonstration.
What do you have Aryan babies with Nick Fuentes?
We're gonna go ahead and ban them. Moving on to the next guest. Hop on the side of that queue if you are an American adult. If you support Trump, we got Big Mama loading up into the stream right now, as well as JT. Thank you so much for the $10 over on Super Chat. Thank you, JT. Just Relax. Thank you so much for the 5 as well. Thank you guys so much for the gifts. What's going on? Are you MAGA? Oh, they already left. We're going to go ahead and get the next guest up in here. We are looking for like literally anybody to come up here and have a conversation with us about why you support Donald J. Trump as president. Woo! All right. Well, we got a guest loading in. It doesn't look like they're going to connect, so we got to move on. Moving on to the next guest, we got Aaron loading up in 2. What about that? Anna, thank you for the thank you for the dollar on Venmo, as well as August.
What's up?
August, thank you so much for the $5 on PayPal, who says, hey, I love your videos and I try to watch your lives when I get a chance. That's awesome, August. Thank you so much for the $5. And Maya, thank you for the $20. Maya with the $20 on PayPal says, I support your content a lot. Mainly wanted to say, though, that your shirt is fire, Dean. Thank you so much, dude. Honestly, I love sporting the Affliction drip. I got a handful of Affliction shirts and I love them all equally. Thank you so much for the $20, Maya. Oh, as well as for everybody watching, I have a crazy fucking story for you guys if you want to hear it. The last 24 hours of my life have been insane. Insane. What's up? Do you support Trump?
No, sorry, I didn't mean to join. I wanted to back you up on the last.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I kicked you when I heard no, and then everything else came in after I had removed you. But hey, I appreciate you, Samantha. That's awesome. Yeah, so crazy story is, let's see if we can get a Trump supporter up here. What's up? Are you MAGA? Fuck you. MAGA, but for obvious reasons, I'm going to go and kick him. But definitely MAGA. Definitely MAGA. Definitely MAGA. We're going to move on to the next guest here. Go ahead and hop inside of that queue if you are MAGA. We got Marie loading up in. But anyways, here is the crazy story. So so this was like a couple days ago. I parked my car in a no parking zone. My bad. That was bad. Shouldn't have done that. Aldine in the chat. Okay, so then the homeowners association of the neighborhood that I live in put a notice on my car that said, hey, if you don't move it out of this no parking zone in the next 24 hours, then it's going to get towed. I saw that notice 2 hours after they put it on the car, moved the car, out of the no parking zone. We are good. I walk outside the next day and my car's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? They gave me the notice. They told me to move it. I did, and they still towed my goddamn car. So then I call the homeowners, and I'm like, what? Like, why? Why did you do this? And then the homeowners association is like, because, well, you left it in the no parking zone. I'm like, no, I didn't. I literally didn't. I literally moved it. And so then they checked their notes. They said it again. And I was like, no, like, you're seriously, like, you're wrong. Go ask the tow company for a picture of the car from where they moved it from. So it turns out, by the way, I've never seen a car towed in my neighborhood before. It turns out that the homeowners association called it back in to where I moved the car, called the tow company again, and they're like, I don't like this. This is a private street. Just tow it. And they also said that it was stolen, that my car, I stole my own fucking car. They said, tow it. It might be stolen. Oh, God damn it. So then I called the tow company that works with my homeowners association. I'm like, hey, like, can I go get my car, please? They're like, yes, drive down to our base and you could pay us $309 to get your car back. I'm like, fuck, I really don't want to do that, but I need my car. Every day it sits there, it costs me another $50. So I drive down there 15 minutes away, right? I show up, they're closed. I called them. I'm like, hey, I'm here. Like you suggested I could be. Can I, like, is there maybe like somebody that could come open the gate? And they're like, no, we're actually closed. You're going to have to come back in the morning. Drive 15 minutes back to the house. And then they call me and they're like, hey, actually, you can get it tonight. You just have to pay another $150. So then I just wait until the morning. I drive there this morning to finally just get the car and pay for it. Because I want it. I want my vehicle back. And then I give them my card, and they're like, hey, actually, we can't accept your card. Do you have any other way you could pay? And I'm like, no, I just have my card. They're like, guess we can't give you the card then. Our payment processing isn't working. So at this point, I'm like, what the fuck? You're illegally withholding the property from me. I called the cops right in front of them. I called the fucking cops. And then they're like, all of a sudden, like, well, actually, our payment processing is working. I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know why I told you couldn't pay through that. I mean, now it is working. So I tell the cops, like, listen, we're getting it resolved. Don't show up. So then they finally accept my $309 to get the car back this morning. And by the way, I have never seen a vehicle towed in my neighborhood ever. And the homeowners association has my number. They could have let me know. Because if you've been watching for a while, you would remember when the president of the Homeowners Association sent me text saying that my studio is ghetto, quote unquote. Saying that the soundproofing I have on the wall that you could see from the outside needs to be taken down, even though the Homeowners Association has no right to tell me what I can or can't have inside of my house, even if it is within public sight. Ghetto. Ugh. So anyways, there's the last 24 hours of my life is out $309 and almost like a series of such unfortunate events that I've never seen happen to anybody else in my neighborhood before that just makes it not seem like a coincidence. This highly unfortunate series of events that took place to me that I've never seen take place to anybody else that lives in the same neighborhood I do took place to me. I don't know. We're going to go on and get that next guest loaded up into the live anywhere. There is the story. There's the story. There's the story. What's up? Do you support Trump? Nope, they're not here. We're going to go to get that next guest up here. Everybody in the comment section is saying sue him. Listen, you got to learn when to pick your battles. And this is like pretty close to a battle that I'd pick because I'm petty. But it's not there yet. It's not there yet. I'll angrily shake my fists in the air and tell almost 20,000 people on live while venting during a story time. But I won't sue. I won't sue. Not yet. Hey, what's up? Do you support Trump?
I do.
Oh, you've actually been up here like 3 times before. You don't actually support Trump.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. We're going to go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the box. Victoria, thank you so much for the 50 Canadian dollars on Super Chat. Thank you so much, Victoria. Show some love to Victoria down below in that comment section for the $50 while we're still looking for this next Trump supporter. We got Billy loading up. Victoria says, I'm so sorry that happened to you, Dean. Well, I appreciate you for the love, Victoria. It's okay. It's okay.
Hello,
It's
ladies. Would anyone like to hit up a 41-year-old man?
I got bored. It is what it is. It is what it is. It really did suck, though. It really did suck. It really did suck. But I appreciate you with $50, Victoria. That is very kind of you. As well as Greeny with the $10 on Super Chat, who says, your HOA's out to get you. There's been too many incidents. Fucking for real, dude. Fucking for real. As well as Joshua, thank you for the $20 Super Chat, who says, any chance Maga was involved in the Dean Cargate? Well, what I will tell you is that 85% of my county voted for Trump in the last election. And I know members of the HOA are MAGA. I know they know what I do online, as well as I know that when I walked into this towing company, they had like one of those like graphics up on their wall that said like, back the blue, back the USA Patriot Eagle. My pronouns are red, white, and blue. You know, what's going on, Chris? Do you support Trump?
To an extent.
Okay, are you driving?
I think. Yeah, sorry, I'm about to pull over. I apologize.
If you pull over literally right now, then I could talk to you. However, if you're not, then let me just ask you this question first. Knowing everything that you do now, if you're teleported back to November, would you still vote in support for Trump?
No, I can't say I would.
Then don't even pull over, Chris. Do your thing, but unfortunately, right, that is kind of like one of the qualifiers for being on the live, so we are going to move on to the next guest, guys. Let me know if you do want to come up onto the live and have a conversation, guys. We are strictly and only looking for supporters of Trump. As well as Scott, thank you so much for the $20 over at Super Chat as well. Thank you so much, Scott, who says, as an educator for high school students, I'm very thankful for these lives. I often recommend these to my kids to give them a leg up on their future. Listen, Scott, I bet you are a great teacher, okay? I want you to know that. I wish I had you as a teacher in high school. You sound like the absolute man. Shout out to Scott, and thank you for the $20, man. Seriously. What's going on? Do you support Trump? Okay, Orla Scup's not here. Still trying to find that next Trump supporter. We got them hopefully loading up right now. 925 Guerrero is connecting into the stream as we speak. Hello, do you support Trump? 925 Guerrero?
Yo.
Hey, are you MAGA?
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
24.
Okay.
Just turned 24 in October.
Yeah, could you take me off of Bluetooth? You'll sound a lot better.
I have my AirPods in.
Are you driving?
No.
Okay. If you yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Let me go to thank a couple people here before we hop into the debate, and then I'll happily give you the mic. Listen, Rebecca, thank you so much for the $10 over on Super Chat. Sorry, on Venmo, who says, I wish I could clone you and bring you to my Thanksgiving this year. My poor mother's been brainwashed. Oh, I just stir the pot. I don't know if it'd be too fun of a Thanksgiving, but I appreciate you for the love. Thank you for the $10. As well as David, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo as well. Thank you so much, David. Let's get 200 David W's. David says, have you ever looked into how both parties use the rule activism from the cool despite knowing what the WTO would later repeal it to win rule votes? I've not looked into that. I will look into that. Thank you for the $20, David. And then April, thank you for the $27. Show some love to April, who says, for educating people on the truth, thank you for all that you do. You help us sane people remain sane. Thank you so much for the love, April. And then Isabella, thank you for the $10, who says, love watching you in action during the debates. Thank you, Isabella. And Daniel with the 5, you are awesome. As well as I'd like to thank Avril. Thank you so much for the $25 over on Venmo. Avril with a $25 says, here's $25 towards the toe. Now you have around $280 remaining towards the toe fund. Avril, that is incredibly kind of you. You do not need to be doing that. That is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly generous. Thank you. Thank you so much, Avril, dude. Show some fucking love to Avril down below in that chat. Thank you. Go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
I mean, there's no reason not to, really.
It is about the stupidest
First
thing
of all,
that you could have said.
I live in California. So you already know how it is out here. Super, super liberal. I live in the SF area, to be precise. And I mean, it could go either way, really. I mean, yes and no. I don't support everything that he does. For instance, I don't like
funny.
how he like goes online and like chooses some of the words he uses, like towards like certain people, like, you know, calling them illegal aliens.
Wow.
I do.
It's very very progressive of you. I'm actually W. I've never heard a Trump supporter ever say that before. Good.
Like,
wow.
why not call them for like, I mean, I guess you don't know the person's race, because illegal immigrants could be of any race. But yeah, I don't like how he uses a certain choice of words when he talks about certain people.
Surprisingly woke. Wow.
And I am Hispanic myself. I'm not like, I don't have a lot of it in me, but my dad was from Spain, and my mom is Italian and Swedish.
Okay. So specifically back on the topic, why you support Trump as president. You said that, well, you don't really have many reasons not to. Well, I mean, you actually just highlighted a reason not to, which is like Donald Trump's like terrible rhetoric and actions towards undocumented immigrants, right? Like, not only is he calling them illegal aliens, he said that they've all escaped mental asylums and prisons, which is a bold-faced lie, and in fact, they're less likely to break the law on American soil compared to citizens. He's been illegally
That's not true.
That is true. Yeah, according to PNAS.
You want to look at statistics? We can look at statistics.
We can. When we look at statistics.
Do you know who Laken Riley is?
Do
you know who Laken Riley is?
I do know who Laken Riley is. Yes, a victim of a very violent crime at the hand of an undocumented immigrant. She was murdered by an undocumented immigrant.
You do know who Laken Riley is?
Yes. So did you know, just because undocumented immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes on American soil when compared to citizens, that doesn't mean that the total number of violent crimes that undocumented immigrants have committed is zero?
I'm not saying that it's zero, no, because, bro, people commit crimes all the time.
My point is that they're less likely to than citizens. That's the claim that you said was false, and then your argument for why it's false was to give me a singular example of an undocumented immigrant committing a crime.
Okay, next.
Why do you want to respond to that? Can you recognize there how your thought process was incorrect?
Um, I mean, stats say that illegal immigrants do commit more crime.
Did I ask
I
you how old you
mean,
are?
yeah, I'm 24.
Oh, I did ask you how old you are. Okay, what stats say that?
Ask Google.
Okay, when I ask Google, when I type in are undocumented immigrants more likely to commit crimes compared to citizens, Google says no. And then they say, well, it's because this, and he left. All right. Everybody's leaving today. All right, folks, we are 2 hours and 20 minutes into the stream, and I feel like vast majority of everybody that has joined this live has fucking left. Moving on to the next guest while we are Rebecca. Thank you so much for the $50 over on Super Chat. Thank you for the love, Rebecca. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Rebecca with the $50 says, Dean, you do an excellent job at informing people. I try my best, Rebecca. I have my good days. I have my bad days. I have my good debates. I have my bad debates. But at the end of the day, we are focused on trying to inform the masses and change minds. I really appreciate you for the $15. That is seriously a shit ton of money. Thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity. I seriously want like all 13,000 people on TikTok, 4K plus 1,000 people on YouTube to show some love to Rebecca down below in the chat for the love while we're working on getting the next Trump supporter up here, as well as Rihanna. Thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo, who says, Dean, it's my absolute dream to debate you. Problem is I agree with you on literally every point. You know, I hear that a bit. You're awesome, Rihanna. I appreciate you for the $15. Show some love to Rihanna, as well as Kyler. Thank you for the $10, who says, thank you for making me feel more confident and having these conversations / debates with the MAGA followers in my life. Here's for the toe fund. Yo, appreciate you for the $10 for the hashtag toe fund, quite frankly. And I'm really happy to hear that what we do here helps you get better at communication in your day-to-day life as well. That is another big reason why we do what we do. Thank you, Kyler. We got the next Trump supporter loaded up. Their name is Gus. As well as Andrea. Thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. Daniel with a 5 and Isabella with a 10. Thank you, guys. Hey, what's up, Gus? Do you support Trump?
Every woman that works for him has like long, blonde hair.
Gus? Nope, Gus isn't here. Gus left. Guys, go ahead and let me know down below in that comment section if you are an American adult that wants to come up here and have a debate. Let me know. What's up? Are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
Age, please?
22.
Are you trolling?
No, I'm not, sir.
Okay, your bio says Trump will make America great again after already serving as our president for 5 years.
Absolutely right.
I'm here with my little brother. Can he speak?
If he's under the age of 18, no.
I'm not. I'm 18.
All right, moving on to the next guest. All right. No times for jokes. We got Skibbity67 loading up. That was no times for jokes. We got. I'm gonna kick them. Moving on to the next guest. Wow. Let's go and see what that next guest has to say. We got Kasan Pellin loading up into the box. Here we go, folks. Listen, DK, thank you so much for the $20 on Super Chat. Who says you should totally read the quote-unquote Tyranny of the Merit by Michael Sandel. It helps outline the rule rise of populism, and it's actually very sad. I'll have to give that a read. Thank you for the recommendation, DK, and thank you for the $20. I'm pretty sure that's not your first time recommending a book. You are a reader. I think that's pretty cool. By the way, listen, folks, if you're watching and you're like, hey, I like this Dean guy. Hey, I want to support him. You can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio on TikTok, found in that link tree, as well as in that pinned message over on that YouTube stream. But welcome in, Mr. New Guest. Are you MAGA? And they're not here. Goodbye. Moving on to Yorkie Lover. We got that next guest loading up. Hannah, thank you so much for the $20 on PayPal. Hannah says, been a viewer for a while. I'm a longtime military vet living in rural America. It can be super lonely surrounded by people who sound like your clown guests and not being able to feel open about my views. Listen, I also live in a little bit of a rural American town, very high Republican populace. The solution to that is to try to find the small amount of friends that do agree with you, because typically speaking, those liberal leftist communities in those small towns are very tight-knit and very friendly to one another. What's up, Yorkie Lover? Are you also a Trump lover? Are you MAGA?
Hi, dude. How are you?
How am I? It's, been a little bit of a rough day, toe and all, but doing all right.
Sorry to hear that. My question is, how do you feel about Trump and Netanyahu teaming up to get all those hostages back?
What's that? I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Did you not hear what I said?
Yeah, no, I didn't because I just, I need to tell you guys about a message that I just got from my grandma. So my grandma got a letter saying from the desk of Erica Kirk, dear friend, if I like in Charlie's memory, I want you to give us money. Basically, that's what it was. In Charlie's memory, I want you to give me money, and my grandma just sent me a picture of it, and then added, quote unquote, before I tear this up, I wanted you to see what we got in the mail today. W fucking grandma. Go. What time is it?
Can I speak?
Yeah. What time is it?
What do you mean, what time is it?
I mean what I said. Like, what time is it where you're at?
It's 20 to 1 in the morning where I
All right.
am.
Well, we're specifically looking to talk to people from America, so you have a good rest of your day. Moving on to the next guest, guys. Please make sure if you are in that queue that you are following the rules. They're very, 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 very simple. You just got to be an American adult that supports Trump as president. That's all. Hey, what's up? Are you MAGA?
Well, yes, I am. How you doing, Dean?
How old are you?
What's the purse? I'm 32, Dean. Sorry, 77. That's popsicles.
Get out of here. Moving on to the next guest, we got Marcus loading up into the boxer now. Hopefully this will be a good, productive, linear dialogue. August.
Productive linear dialogue. August. Productive linear dialogue.
Damn, nice echo there. Hey, what's up? Are you MAGA?
Yeah, sorry about that echo. What's up, Dean?
Have we already spoken?
A long time ago.
How long ago?
Like a year ago?
Like 1 day ago, per your most recent post?
We didn't debate. You didn't tell me to
Dude, get out. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Moving on to the next guest. Why do they lie to me? Why do they just lie? They just, oh my God. Oh my God, dude. Why do they lie, man? August, thank you so much for the $10 over on PayPal saying hashtag TOFUN. Thank you for the love, August. Thank you so much, W TOFUN, W August. Let's get some W TOFUN, some W Augusts down below in that chat, as well as Georgia. Thank you so much for the $6 on PayPal who says no uterus, no trauma, no right to speak. Couldn't agree more. Thank you for the $6. You are fantastic. Shout out Georgia for the $6 and the awesome message, as well as Chaley. Thank you for the $3 over on PayPal. Appreciate you guys so much for your kindness. You guys are awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, as well, shit, Caitlin. Thank you so much for the 24 Canadian dollars over on PayPal. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Let's get to it at Caitlin W's. Caitlin says, appreciating you from Canada. My dad is a Mabel MAGA, and it strains a relationship. Thank you for what you do. I'm sorry to hear that, Caitlin, and I understand how it could strain relationships. I'm there all the time myself. And then Elaine, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo, asking for my thoughts on ranked choice voting. Big W, we need it. And then Sonia, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo for the TOFUN. Thank you so much, Sonia. Al, welcome back in, J6 protester. So you're back for what? Round 10? Why?
It's like the third time talking to you.
I think you said the third time the last 3 times.
No.
No.
Are you gonna run away this time from the debate?
Don't you feel like I've already shit on you enough?
Dean, you so far what you've said for immigration is that you think people should be allowed to break the law as long as they don't agree with the law. So as long as you think that's a dub, sure.
Oh, well, I mean, if you think that's an L, by the way, a straw man in my position, then you are actually self-dunking.
Is that not your position?
No, it's not my position.
Really? Because I had you and Parker on video saying that
you should allow me to finish. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate your kindness. That was a self-dunk. The reason that was a self-dunk is because you support Trump. The guy that broke the law 34 times, and the only reason he wasn't sentenced is because he won the presidency, which of course you supported and voted for. The guy that pardoned 72 violent offenders that tried to kill police officers on the steps of the Capitals, including DJ Rodriguez, who tried to take out Officer Fanon, labeled him patriots, let him out of jail 8 years early. Yeah, the guy that called for the imprisonment of his victim, E. Jean Carroll, after she successfully held him liable for rape inside of a civil court of law. The guy that is now demanding $230 million from the Justice Department for all the emotional pain and suffering he underwent when they were investigating him for his crimes against goddamn humanity in correlation to his attempted coup on the American government when he tried to steal and rig the election away from Joe Biden in 2020. Now, my position is, I think that we should change the law when the law is not beneficial to the country, but rather harmful. Meaning that I do not think there should be a punishment of mass deportation for undocumented entry, but rather a solution of mass amnesty that's better for them, better for us, and better for the country as a whole. But I would like you to now reflect verbally, so in a response to my position, on your hypocrisy about an allowance for somebody to break the law, considering that's been one of the focal points of controversy around Trump from the 1970s until today.
Yeah, it's a self dunk because you actually said that you yourself believe that if someone doesn't agree with the law, they should be able to break it, which is why you even asked me on your last stream if I would free a slave, if I would help a slave become free even though it was against the law, and I told you I would. So that's a self dunk on your part, actually, because you think that someone should be able to bend the law if they disagree with it. So then you should be agreeing with Trump, because if he truly believed that he needed to break the law to do something, he should be allowed to do it. Now, I don't think Trump actually broke the law, right? I think it was political persecution. That's how I can fathom that. So unless you understand that people don't believe everything they see, or people aren't as gullible as you and think and believe E. Jean Carroll when she had no police report, waited 20 years and didn't tell anyone, she wrote it in a book. I don't know if that's up to you, Dean, but you deflect and you pivot a lot from immigration because you realize you can't defend illegal immigration. You realize Trump is winning at the southern border. You realize Trump has much stronger policies than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on the border. You realize that they allowed these people in with the promise of asylum and now they're being deported. So if you truly didn't like deportation, if you truly were against everything wrong that's happening to illegal immigrants, you would want to stop illegal immigration. We would have less deportations.
Okay, nice note cards. So do you recognize how you just kind of
Want me to turn my camera on? I'm not reading off of anything, Dean.
So
are
that-
you like challenged, or are you like scared of people that know what they're talking about?
Well, I mean, that was more so a metaphorical comment. I don't think that you're literally reading off of note cards. The reason that I said that, which was what I was going to describe before you interrupted me, is that you said things inside of your statement there that are like so evidently false, right? That I just think that you're rehearsing something.
Sure, like what?
For instance, you said that I run away from immigration, but in my last breath, I brought up immigration and how I think that we should get rid of mass deportation and replace it with mass amnesty. Another thing, you said that I said that it's okay for individuals to break the law if they disagree with it. Less than 30 seconds after I described, I think it's okay to abolish laws and get rid of them if those laws only generate negative outcomes. But if you want to condense my thoughts down to like one headline that you could like wave around and flash and say, oh, Dean's an idiot, what you can say is that Dean thinks it's okay for people to break laws that Dean disagrees with. That's true.
Okay, so I mean, you just self-dunked again because you said you support mass amnesty, so you support rewarding people that have broke the law and people that have come here illegally, and you think, okay, they've been here, they've eluded the law long enough, let's reward them with amnesty. That's not the way you do it, and that also fucks over everyone else that's been waiting in the legal process.
Yeah, so you're saying that I support rewarding people that have like broken the law. So yeah, that would be a reward. Mass amnesty, obviously, it makes their life better. But I don't support it because they broke the law. I support it because it makes the country better, right? Like that's just the fact of the matter. I'm not done speaking yet. Yeah, like I understand that mass amnesty rewards undocumented immigrants by giving them a better life in America than they had as an undocumented immigrant, right? And I understand that undocumented immigrants committed a misdemeanor upon entry. Therefore, I understand that what you're saying is technically true. You're rewarding somebody that broke the law. But when I feel like you add the nuance of the fact that mass amnesty actually doesn't just reward undocumented immigrants, it also rewards citizens and it rewards the country as a whole, compared to the devastating alternative of mass deportation, which according to the American Immigration Council would reduce our GDP by 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion per year, would forcefully expel 8.4 million of our laborers, 11 million of our consumers, and reduce our government revenue by over $100 billion per year, compared to the upside of mass amnesty, which would be real median higher wages, which would be like better performance inside of the economy due to the fact that undocumented immigrants would be able to make more, thereby spend more in the economy, making their contributions go from over 1.1 through 1.7 trillion dollars to more than that, and their taxable contributions from going from $100 billion to more than that, because now they're making more money and more incentivized to work over the table. Sure, and maybe one last layer there would be the misdemeanor of undocumented entry to begin with. Sure, I understand that's against the law. I understand they broke that law. You're okay with breaking the law. You're okay with supporting a felon. You're okay with supporting a rapist. You're okay with supporting somebody that boasted about sexually exploiting children. You have no right to talk about holding people accountable for breaking the law. But but undocumented entry is something that I would say has been incentivized by our government throughout all of modern American history, because they're the ones that created the unattainable means of legal entry into this country, which then promoted and created the system of undocumented entry as a workaround to the unattainable legal means of entry. I mean, like, think about it. What is one time that where you have seen Donald Trump speaking at a mic in front of a podium in the last 10 years about making the legal means of entry into this country more accessible and more attainable for more? He's never done that. Because if he did, that would be a long-term solution. When?
Yeah, so when he talked about removing the lottery visa and he wants merit-based visas for work, and not to mention self-deportation where they are allowed to come back in and reapply, versus what would normally happen is they'd be like barred from ever coming back. Not to mention, I think for the people that are watching, the 13,000, we should be clear that Trump was never convicted or found guilty of grape, of exploitation of children, or of any of the other things that you said. So
he was guilty of those things. I could prove it. Want me to?
He was never found guilty in a criminal court.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was held liable in a civil court.
Exploitation of children.
He was found guilty in a civil court of rape.
Wait, hold on. I let you finish, but you're not allowing me to finish.
Oh, God.
So for everyone to be clear, the 13,000, the reason that Dean is defending and the point he just made is that they're a net positive to the country. Illegal immigrants are a net positive.
Before you go on to that point, we're not done exploring the first point that you made of saying that, just to be clear, Donald Trump has never been found guilty of grape. Yes, he was found guilty of grape inside of a civil court of law. That is a fact.
He was found liable in a civil court. That is much different than guilty in a criminal court for the 13th. You can play like word salad with your 13,000 viewers.
Civil courts are different.
I hope people are smart enough to know what you're doing.
Sir, you're the one playing word salad, because when I say that Donald Trump was found guilty of grape in a civil court, you're apparently taking that to mean guilty in a criminal court. I understand the two courts are different. That doesn't nullify or invalidate the claim that I made, which is the fact that Donald Trump was found guilty of grape inside of a civil court.
Is it civilly liable or guilty?
I take civil liability to be a form of guilt, because I think that guilt just means
you take it that way, but the law considers it civilly liable, not criminally guilty, right?
Well, I never said that he was criminally guilty. I said that he was found to have done this. He was held liable for it. He was found guilty inside of a civil court of law. Why are you trying to like change the words that are coming out of my mouth as I say them to mean something else so then you could construct an argument? I mean, listen to yourself, man. You are literally trying to imply that because Dean is saying Donald Trump was found guilty of rape inside of a civil court, that therefore Dean is saying Donald Trump was found guilty of rape inside of a criminal court.
Oh, it was essay.
I have a question. Do you think that your definition of grape would include the penetration of a woman's female member unconsensually with a man's fingers?
Sure. My definition is very different to the law.
Right. So then even you consider it to be rape.
So my definition doesn't matter. The law's definition matters, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I actually disagree with that. I think that it is your definition that would matter.
So you think your definition matters more than the definition of the law?
Yes, and I could prove it. How many enslaved individuals do you think were raped during American slavery?
Huh?
How many enslaved individuals do you think were raped during American slavery?
Couldn't tell you.
Was it more than one?
Yeah, I would guess so.
All of a sudden, you're telling me that your definition means more than the definition of the courts at the time, due to the fact that the definition of rape in the courts at the time never included unconsensual intercourse with an enslaved individual as rape. Thank you for conceding.
Yeah, I can see the fact that they weren't found guilty at the time because the law didn't find it guilty. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that
you're still saying that they were raped. Therefore, you're saying that what you think is rape is more meaningful than what the courts thought is rape.
My definition is different to theirs. My definition is different to
theirs.
Right,
and which one is superseding which? I'm so sorry. Are you allowing the court's definition to supersede yours, or are you allowing your definition to supersede the courts of the time?
My definition 100 years later doesn't supersede the definition of the law at that time for those people that were convicted.
Okay, so then you'd say that there was not a single enslaved individual raped during American slavery, then, since you think that your definition does not supersede what the courts would have adjudicated at that time.
No, my definition means that people were raped at that time.
Just like exactly. Just like your definition of grape would say that yes, Donald Trump was found guilty of grape.
You're self-dunking right now again.
Per the civil court.
You're self-dunking again. My definition means they were raped. That doesn't mean my definition superseded the definition at that time. And even if I thought that, even if I was alive during that time, and my definition was that they were being raped, would it supersede the court at that time?
I'm confused on what you're asking.
No, it wouldn't. I said if I was alive during that time, during slavery, and in my definition, in my head, I thought, yes, they are being raped, and the court didn't see it as being raped, did my definition in my head supersede the court at that time?
If you still think that they were graped.
No, it didn't.
So then you would say that they weren't graped?
So wait, my definition would change then the outcome of that court case.
No,
How?
it wouldn't change the outcome of the court case, but it would change
So
the
it
way
wouldn't
that you
supersede.
but it changed the way that you would infer the outcome of that court case.
So then it wouldn't supersede the outcome of that court.
It
Your
would,
definition doesn't.
Yes, it would supersede that outcome of the court if you'd argue that they were still graped
Definition,
even though the court
no
said
matter
otherwise.
no matter what time in history.
It would supersede the outcome of the court if you'd say that they were still graped even though the outcome of the court said otherwise. That is literally what it means for something to supersede something else. Come on, you lose on
To
this one.
supersede would mean that my definition would change the outcome, which it wouldn't. You just conceded that it wouldn't.
No, that's
It's
not
a
what
self-dunk again.
that's not
Do you
what
want to move
supersede
on to
means.
the other thing, the other point?
No, I don't want to move on because that's not what supersede means. Are
Perfect.
you ready to listen? Are you ready to listen?
I was waiting.
Thank you so much. So would you agree that if, for instance, an enslaved individual was graped and then that was taken to a court and the court adjudicated it as not grape because they didn't think that the enslaved individual was a person, meaning that they didn't think that they could be graped, that you would still yet think that they were graped even though the court said otherwise?
Sure, it wouldn't change the outcome.
Well, what it would change is the way that you perceive the outcome. Your perception
Sure,
would
of
be
course,
that they
of
were
course.
graped even though the court ruled otherwise.
Yes,
meaning
which
that
is
your
why
own
you
definition
and
of grape.
your-
I'm not done yet. You're interrupting
No,
me.
you're right. You're
not-
100% right,
Thank
which is why
Thank
you
You're
can
not.
call him
You're
a
not. You're not
rapist,
done. You're
but
not
he's
done.
not actually a rapist. You see what I'm saying?
Wait, what do you mean by actually a grapist? What does that even mean?
Because like you just admitted, in your head it wouldn't change it. So to you, Dean Withers, Donald Trump is a rapist. That doesn't actually mean that he is a rapist. Just because he is to you doesn't mean that to the law and by the court.
So in
he
order
is.
to be an quote unquote actual rapist, then the law has to see it that way. So the individuals that
Yes,
rape
that's
the
why we have the court system. Because you don't. Because wait, are people innocent until proven guilty, or guilty until proven innocent?
Oh no. Okay. So if you think,
Are you saying that people are rapists
One
before
second.
they're proven to be rapists?
Yeah, I say that all the time. Like in a court of law, before
Okay,
they're
so
proven
it's-
to have raped
so
a woman
there
in a court of law, like I would actually absolutely say that they're rapists.
So
What?
people are guilty until proven innocent.
Well, I know that my grapist is somebody I call a grapist. They've never been found guilty in a court of law. Am I wrong in doing that?
If someone raped you, you would be the only one to know that that person is a rapist, which is why you have to go to court to prove it to everybody else.
Is a person that did that to me an actual
You see how that
rapist?
makes sense, Dean? Isn't that weird how that works?
Is the person that did that to me an actual rapist, considering the fact that you said in order to be an actual
Yes, only
rapist,
you would know since you were the one that was raped. You have to then prove it to everybody else that wasn't raped. You see how that works, Dean?
Wait. So
that's
you're
what
saying,
the court is for.
Wait. So you're saying that they were an actual rapist, even though the court didn't adjudicate that?
What?
You just said that they are an actual rapist, even though the court didn't adjudicate that. When not even 30 seconds ago, you said in order to be an actual
No,
rapist,
Dean.
the court
Understand.
has to
If you
adjudicate
are raped, to you that you are the only person that knows that person is a rapist. You then have to prove it to everyone else, to the jail, to the court, to the police officers, to your peers. You have to prove to everyone else in society that that person is a rapist.
Wait, is the only way to do that
you
through a
can
court?
know that that person is a rapist.
Is the only way to do that through a court?
The only way to hold someone accountable for rape?
That's not what I asked. The only way to prove that somebody's a rapist. You're changing my question. You're very tricky.
That is how we find someone guilty for rape.
Okay, so
you can accuse someone.
So
otherwise,
I didn't ask to find somebody guilty in a court of law of rape.
Accusation.
You're still changing my question. You're being very tricky.
No.
Is the only way to prove that somebody's a rapist inside of a court of law? Yes or no?
No, because you can prove that you were raped.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh. No, not to the court. I'm saying, is the only way to prove somebody is a rapist inside of a court of law? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you so much for conceding your claim.
Which is why proof is required, which E. Jean Carroll didn't have.
Thank you so much for conceding your claim. And now you're going to pivot to E. Jean Carroll because you just lost the debate. Now you're going to pivot to E. Jean Carroll because you just lost the debate. Good done. Well, I don't understand why you. I don't understand why you continue to come back up on here. Oh man, I do that to that guy every other day. Every other day, that guy requests up onto my live stream and then he gets absolutely broiled, and then I remove him and we move on. No, it's great. We're going to move on to the next guest. Thank you so much for coming up here and getting dunked on for the 10th time. Absolutely great. What's going on? Do you support Trump?
Yo.
Hey, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 20.
Perfect. What year were you born in?
2005.
Awesome. And do you support Trump?
I mean, like, it's a complicated thing, all right?
Well, let's see if we could uncomplicate it. Knowing everything that you do now, if you were teleported back to November, who'd you vote for?
Probably Donald Trump.
Perfect. See how it's not that complicated after all. Let's have a conversation about it.
No. But like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's not about any of those reasons you would think it's about.
Okay. Well,
It's
before
about
we
the
get into
stock
that,
market, right?
Before we get into that, I'm going to thank a couple people. Christy, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo, who says to support the Gay Frogs, referencing a conversation I had yesterday. Thank you for the $5, Christy. Sierra, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. I want to see 200. Sierra W. Sierra says, heard you hurt your toe. I appreciate you for that love. Show some love to Sierra. Thank you so much. Yes, I hurt my toe, quite frankly. As well as Nathaniel, thank you so much for the $25 over on Venmo. I really appreciate you so much for the love. That is incredibly kind, Nathaniel. Nathaniel says, why not ask other prompts like quote unquote, what has changed your mind? Honestly, I'm about to stop watching your streams. I've watched for years. I think it'd be meaningful to hear other perspectives. I question the merits of continuing the prompt. Could fruitful conversation not erupt from other prompts? So yeah, fruitful conversation could erupt from other prompts and other like purposes or topics on the live. And I've been like perpetually wrapping those more into the live. Like for instance, yesterday I had Pete Buttigieg on for like an hour-long conversation. And today we spent the first 40 minutes just live reacting to one of Donald Trump's sit-downs. So I'm trying to make my content a little bit more well-rounded. But I do appreciate you for the $25, Nathaniel. As well as Taylor, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. I appreciate you so much for the love. Taylor said, heard that there was a fund to get you to show your toes, and man, am I excited. No, Taylor. Bad, but thank you for the $10. As well as Paige, thank you so much for the $20. Dude, let's get 200 Paige W's in that chat, who says, hey, Dean, I'm a longtime listener. Thank you for all that you do. Well, I appreciate you so much for the love, Paige. Thank you so much. Let's get 200 Paige W's, as well as Morgan with a 5, Pork Chop with a 2, and Morgan with another 5. Thank you guys so much for your kindness. So go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
All right. So like, here's the thing. I don't think Kamala would have been imposing tariffs, right? And like, Trump's tariffs have been causing major shifts in the markets. And the markets, like, if you know what's going to happen, you can make money. You know?
Yeah. So the market dipped, and then the market went back up and you profited, and that's why he's good. Did the market dip during the Great Depression?
Yes, that is true.
Did the market go back up again after the Great Depression?
Yeah.
So if Donald Trump
but how
caused the Great
accessible
Depression
was that
2.0?
knowledge during the Great Depression?
Well, imagine if it was accessible to you at the time. Would you have supported the Great Depression?
I mean, probably, yeah.
Okay.
But like,
all right. So you would support the Great Depression for the same reasons you support Trump as president. Do you see the issues now?
yes, I do. But like,
Thank you so much for
here's
the
thing.
concession. Is there anything else that you want to debate? Any other reasons?
No, honestly, the economic stock market debate is the only thing I can really see. Like, you can get enough money to.
We're gonna move on to the next guest, dude. We put him in the fucking dryer. We did a couple spins. 30 seconds later, we got a concession. We're gonna move on to the next guest. Here we go. Dude supports Trump for the same reasons he would have supported the Great Depression. All right. Abraham, thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal, saying thank you for supporting individuals who immigrated to America. I am a Mexican who works legally here in America as an engineer. Good shit, Abraham. That's awesome. I appreciate you for the $5. As well as William, thank you so much for the $5 as well over on PayPal. While we are focusing on getting that next guest up, folks, if you do want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio on TikTok and in the pinned message of the YouTube stream. While we're loading that next guest up, Mr. Steven, thank you so much for the $17 on PayPal. Thank you so much, Steven. Steven with the $17 says, hey, Dean, I'm a Canadian veteran who's been religiously watching you and the boys for some time now. As a Canadian, we are here for you and all who believe in a true, better United States of America. Hashtag Trump sucks. Hashtag you're a fucking boss. Shout out to you, Steven. Show some love to Steven down below in that chat. And thank you so much for your kindness. As well as DK, thank you so much for the $10 over on Super Ted as well. You were awesome. What is going on, Brock? Do you support Trump? Okay, they're not even here. We're going to go to kick them and move on at this point, folks. I think that we're going to have a co-host pop up here pretty soon. Mr. Santana may be on his way. What's up? Are you Maga?
Hello? Hello?
Hey, what's up? Are you Maga?
Yeah.
Age, please?
20.
20 years old. What year were you born in?
November 9th, 2004. So I would turn 21.
Yeah, you would. Can I get a W Nicole from you?
From me?
Yeah, could you say W Nicole?
Who's Nicole?
Don't worry about it. Just say it.
W Nicole?
Oh, and one more. W Haley. Could I get that one from you too?
Who are these people?
Don't worry about it. Just say it. W. Haley.
W. Haley. W. Haley.
For the $50 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Nicole. Let's get some W. Nicole spam down below in that chat. Thank you so much for your kindness. Nicole with a $50 says, my daughter Haley loves when you go live. She says, quote unquote, OMG, my show is on. She loves to educate her friends about you and about American politics at large. Shout out to you, Nicole. That, you know what that tells me is that you've just been a great mother. Shout out to you. Shout out to your daughter. All the love to Nicole and Haley down below in that chat. Go ahead and take it away. Actually, before you take it away, Mr. Guest, let me ask you a question. Are you a patriot?
Yeah.
Do patriots support the Constitution?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Is the 22nd Amendment a part of the Constitution?
Yes.
What's the 22nd Amendment?
Isn't it like something, is this the amendment where the president has to be like Satan or something like that?
No, it's the amendment that prohibits anybody that's been elected president twice from being elected to the office again. Look at your profile picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I just did this as a joke. Trust me. I don't actually stand by it.
You don't actually support Trump?
No, I don't stand by Trump 2028. I just put this as.
Ah, god damn it. That's the only reason I pulled you up. Feel free to hop back in that queue. I'm just gonna, leave you at the end of the line. I brought you up because of that profile picture. We're gonna go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the box right now, guys. Just make sure if you're in that queue that you are MAGA. And Santana should be joining us at some point in the next 10 minutes, so that's super exciting. We're gonna go to get that next Trump supporter loaded up in here right now, quite frankly. Hell yeah, what's going on, Misk? Are you MAGA? Misk, hello? Hello? They're not here. Goodbye. Moving on to our next guest, we got Nadia connecting into the stream. We got Ryan Guzman connecting into the stream. We got Song Lama connecting into the stream. We got Joshua connecting into the stream. Let's just get a full-ass panel going on. Okay, starting at the bottom and then working our way up from the boxes over here. We're going to start with you, Ryan. Are you MAGA?
Yep.
Age, please.
I'm 18, born in 2007.
Okay, what about you, Joshua? Are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
Age, please.
Yeah.
Age, please.
18.
18. What time is it?
What time is it?
You heard me.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually in New Zealand, but
Goodbye,
I do.
James. Are you MAGA?
I am.
How old are you?
18.
What year were you born in?
2007.
Great. I want to get a bigger panel up here. Eternal, we know you're MAGA. We'll actually leave you up here. Daniel, Daniel, what's up? Are you MAGA? Daniel's not here. So right now we have a 3v1 going on. I kind of want to get to like a 4v1 or a 5v1. Is that fair?
It's fair for me, yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right. We're going to go to get Matthew loaded up in here. Hey, Amber, thank you for the $4 and the 20 cents over on Venmo. Sorry, not Amber, Baxter. Thank you for the love. Hey, what's up? Do you support Trump, Matthew?
Yep.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
What year were you born in?
May 2006.
Okay. All right. Let's get somebody else up here. Why not? Why not? Let's just, let's do a full panel. Let's get a full panel of people loaded up in here. Let's see if we could get a fifth.
Hey, guys.
Let's see if we could get a fifth. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Hey, going.
Jonathan?
I do.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
What year were you born in?
2006. Do you want to know the date?
Sure.
Oh, like that ass.
Yeah.
19th.
Okay. Awesome. So we have 1v5. Yo, Matthew, get your ass back on that live. I need all of you guys. There we go. All right. Phenomenal. So we got a 5v1 going on here. Oh, let me think. How should we do this? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make a claim. I want you to tell me if you disagree. Then I'm going to debate all 5 of you consecutively on that same point. You guys are going to have to work in a little bit of like an organized manner here. Just make sure that the best point is presented forward. And if you don't think that the person that I'm talking to currently is making the best point, feel free to interrupt, hop in there and say that they're not. Let's try it this way. We're going to start off with my first claim, right? Which is, right, a child would be safer with the average undocumented immigrant compared to Donald Trump. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
A child would be safer with the average undocumented immigrant than with Donald Trump.
I think it'd be Donald Trump.
Okay. Who is that?
It's me.
You can't just say me. We have 5 people on the live.
Dean,
What's
you
your
should
name?
know me by now. I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan. Okay, so you'd say that they would be safer with Donald Trump. Okay, make the argument.
I mean, no, that was just me thinking that, you know.
Okay, so
Well,
you
the
don't have an
argument
argument.
was because Trump, I mean, he's been nice with kids. Haven't you seen, like, at the White House, like, the Halloween stuff? He took pictures with them.
Yeah, where he put the candy bar on the top of the of the little of the kid's costume, then it fell off and he didn't get any candy. I did see that. Okay, bad argument. The average child, so a child would be safer with the average undocumented immigrant compared to Donald Trump, because the average undocumented immigrant is 2.5 times less likely to commit a violent crime, 3 times less likely to commit a property crime, and 3.5 times less likely to commit a petty crime compared to the average American. Right, so they're less likely to do those bad things. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is not just more likely to commit a violent property or petty crime compared to the average American, but he actually has. He was adjudicated by a civil court to have raped a woman. He boasted about sexually exploiting kids to Howard Stern. He said he'd date his own daughter if he wasn't her daughter. Best friend with Jeffrey Epstein, sending him letters to with a depiction of the naked body of a woman. And that is why I would say that a child would be safer with the average undocumented immigrant compared to Donald Trump.
All right.
So
well, what about
argue
this? All right. So, I feel like honestly, and I know this is very off topic, but Bashar al-Assad would be better with the kid than Trump.
Okay, so we have 4 other people left because he didn't come up here to make a serious point. Would either 4 of you like to contest that argument, or all of you, do you duly accept that the average undocumented immigrant, who, by the way, Donald Trump says comes from mental asylums, comes from prisons, violent criminals that are eating your pets, right? Would you guys accept the claim that a child would be safe for the average undocumented immigrant compared to Trump?
I would honestly say that the undocumented immigrant would probably be safer because Trump is a powerful man, right? He's got a lot of press, so they'd honestly probably have a more like relaxed life with the undocumented immigrant. But like
No,
money-wise,
we're talking about the threat of Trump. We're talking about the threat of the average undocumented immigrant to
are you
them,
saying
to
like
their safety.
would you like would I rather have my kid to be babysat by like an undocumented immigrant or Trump?
Yeah, sure, under the same sense.
I'd probably say Trump because they honestly probably have more fun. But like,
so why do you think that your child would be safer with Trump compared to an undocumented immigrant?
I mean, they've been like the White House and shit, right?
Oh, so this would be assuming like the same tenses of like Trump. Not
I just feel like this question
would be
isn't like-
operating under the same pretense of like both of these individuals aren't president, both of these individuals are private citizens. So if you think that your child would be safe for the average undocumented immigrant compared to Donald Trump, then why did you leave Donald Trump to look out for not just your child, but for you and every other child and every other person as the president of the United States of America, in the sense of serving as our president?
I just think this is an interesting question because like it doesn't like relate to like our country isn't a little kid.
Well, I mean, I think what it relates to more specifically would be Donald Trump's comments about undocumented immigrants. He's spent the last year and a half scaring you into hating them, saying they've escaped mental asylums, saying that they've escaped prisons, saying that they're coming here, like his gang member P3dios that are poisoning the blood of this country, right? To like, you know, grape your wife, kidnap your children, and eat your family pets and dogs. Gangs overtaking apartments, so on and so forth, right? So if you're still yet telling me, right, that your child would be safer with the average undocumented immigrant compared to Trump, considering all these things that Donald Trump has said about the average undocumented immigrant, then what does that make him?
I mean, I think that stuff exists, like, but I do think it's a very, very, very small percentage, right?
So then you admit in Donald Trump's broad sweeping stereotypes that he applies to undocumented immigrants, he's fear-mongering. So then why do you support a president that's willing to fear-monger and place these demonic stereotypes on a demographic of individuals when in all reality that's just not true?
Well, because if you like, it starts at one, like if one comes, like, you know how if a homeless person asks for money, you give them once, they're gonna want to keep like come back to you, right? Like you can't just have it like if you let one in, you gotta let more, right? You gotta stop it right there.
Okay, well, just saying, like, I think the conclusion of your position there is that we have to stop undocumented entry into this country. So you're saying that because we have to stop undocumented entry into this country, it's okay for Donald Trump to play fascist, lie about them, demonize them, and scare citizens. Okay, so then what's the justification?
He does say things pretty dang extreme, right?
So then what's the justification
I
for
think
these things? What is the
everybody should be
justification?
welcome.
What is the justification for lying to the face of every single American citizen and applying these false, demonic, and harmful stereotypes to undocumented immigrants, suggesting they are all these things that they are not, while in turn also causing more harm to them on American soil? Is that something that a good president would ever do? Absolutely not. So why do you support him?
I think that's something that a president that is trying to get people to get along with his movement, right? Like almost like.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, you are right. Identifying an enemy to unify his base. Yes, that is the fourth mark of fascism. You are correct. That is what a bad leader does when they want to galvanize their base and gain more support for their policy. And that's yet another reason why you shouldn't support Trump. Because instead of engaging
I don't feel like it's a bad policy. I think the way he's saying things, I don't think the way he's saying things is the best, but I don't think people who should be coming illegally into the country and not all the people who are coming illegally are good. A lot of the people are probably
so you support mass deportation?
Majority of the people.
So you support mass deportation?
The ways that they've been doing it, no, not really, but
so then it's a bad policy. You suggested 30 seconds ago that you don't think it's a bad policy. Dude, I'm just trying to clarify. Donald Trump's mass deportation, that's one of his policies. Is it a good policy or bad policy? Which one?
The deportation is probably good because they're here legally, but there's also better ways to go about it.
Okay, so then you do think that his mass deportation is a good policy. What about you, Eternal?
I think mass deportation is what this country needs right now.
Perfect. What about you, James?
I would have to agree with him. I am for mass deportation.
And what about you, Ryan?
Can you repeat that?
Is mass deportation a good policy?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a challenge for all four of you. To fulfill this challenge, only one of you needs to step up, but it could be any one of you. I challenge you guys to name one specific, materially positive outcome of mass deportation on this country, considering the fact that all four of you support it. Now, I'll fill the blank space with negative ones. It reduces our GDP by 1.1 through $1.7 trillion per year, according to the American Immigration Council. Any just one singular positive material outcome of mass deportation on this country?
So a lot of the people are getting special treatment, not special treatment necessarily, you've a couple years ago you heard about the stuff in New York, or was it even a couple years ago?
You're fumbling on your point. I just want to know one specific positive material outcome of mass deportation on this country. Just one.
I was gonna say it opens up more opportunities for the actual American citizens.
How so?
By jobs. A lot of these people are getting jobs on almost under the table.
Yeah. So it actually, mass deportation reduces job growth and reduces job opportunity. A smaller labor market doesn't mean more job
opportunity for American citizens.
Yeah, it reduces that.
How so?
Yeah, by making the economy less productive as a whole. You're thinking that smaller labor market equals more job opportunity. That's not true. Okay, 100 years ago, we had a smaller labor market. We had less job opportunity. The reason is when we have people functioning inside of the market, working jobs, they're not just filling a position, they're actively generating productivity, efficiency, and profit for the company that they work for, allowing that company to grow and offer more opportunity. And in consideration of the huge and very significant GDP contributions and taxable revenue contributions that undocumented immigrants make in the American marketplace, on both the supply side working as laborers and on the demand side working as consumers, it generates a larger, more productive economy with more job opportunity. You forcefully remove 8.3 million of our workers and 11 million of our consumers, and by the way, this is forceful, not a natural outcome of the market, all of a sudden you are shocking, right, our manufacturers, right? All of a sudden they're making less because they have less people to make those goods, and they're selling less because they have less people to buy those goods, and because it's an unnatural shock, not a natural outcome, what it will do is it will significantly reduce the productivity. And by the way, we are already seeing this as a result of the 900,000 deportations in the last 9 months or whatever the Trump administration says. Investment in business is down, GDP growth is down, revenue is only up because of the tariffs. You count for that, it's down. You see that we now have such a significantly high level of unemployment in this country that Donald Trump fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because they thought that their reports were partisan and pro-Democrat, and then they replaced them with a Maga head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and then they actually gave worse job expectations the following month. Our long-term unemployment is the highest it's been, excluding the pandemic, since 2017, and for the first part since the market crashes of the late 2000s, right, there's now more unemployed Americans than there is open job opportunities.
I completely understand that. I would just like...
So that's not a positive outcome of mass deportation. The challenge is still on the table. All four of you support mass deportation, think it's a good policy, but yet you really can't name one specific positive outcome of it.
Can I?
Yeah, try.
So from 2021 and 2024, the U.S. Department of Health spent $31 billion on undocumented immigrants, and I think that $31 billion could have went to public schools, hospitals, and like welfare systems instead of undocumented immigrants.
So they spent $31 billion on them in 2 years. In those 2 years,
3 years. 3 years.
Thank you for correcting me. $31 billion in 3 years is what they spent on undocumented immigrants. And per year, how much do undocumented immigrants pay in taxes?
I am not sure exact. I'm not sure of the exact number.
So according to House Republicans, it's $100 billion per year on the federal, state, and local level, which is, by the way, reaffirmed by the IRS. So in those same 3 years, we would have expected them to pay $300 billion in taxes, and you're telling me they cost our government $31 billion. Well, $300 billion minus $31 billion is $269 billion, meaning they actually generated our government a net profit of $269 billion in those 3 years. So if they were removed from the country, maybe Trump won 2020 and deported them, then we would have actually lost a net profit of $269 billion. I'm going to go ahead and use the same reason you did. That money could have been spent on public schools.
Well, I agree. That could have, yeah. Well, I guess I would agree that they help. Now that you gave me that number, I guess I would agree that they help somehow in economics and like increasing increasing money for the federal government. But
awesome. Well, anybody on this live? Does anybody on this live want to try to verbalize and clarify one specific positive outcome of mass deportation on this country? I mean, all four of you affirmed it as a good policy. If you give up, you give up. Just let me know and we can move on.
May I?
Yes, the third person. Okay, so we talked to Matthew, we talked to Eternal, now it's on to James. Yes, James, what is it? What is the one specific positive material outcome of mass deportation on this country? It's your turn.
So at the end of the day, no matter what you argue, the crime rate will drop. Regardless if it's 0.2%, 2%, 20%, the crime rate will go down. Actually, is that a bad point?
It is a bad point because it's false.
That's a bad point. So you're arguing against your own facts. You're arguing that 0.2% of violent crimes aren't committed by illegal immigrants. Is that what you're arguing now?
What I'm arguing is the crime rate will go up if we do a mass deportation. Would you like
really? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
The reason why the crime rate would go up if we did a mass deportation is because the crime rate is an average per capita statistic. Undocumented immigrants actually have a downward pressure on the average per capita crime rate due to the fact that they are less likely to commit crimes on American soil compared to American citizens. So if we remove them, that average per capita crime rate would go up because we would be left with a demographic that has a higher average propensity to commit crimes. Next.
I don't... Oh. Did you say like next person?
Next claim, unless you think you could refute that one, but it's math.
I'm not going to let me rephrase. I'm not gonna lie. What you just said went right over my head.
I got
There
you.
are a lot of
Let me re-explain it. The crime rate, okay, is a way that that we could understand it. Simply, the crime rate would be the average person in this country. What is their likelihood to commit a crime, right?
Okay.
Okay. Undocumented immigrants are significantly less likely to commit crimes compared to natural U.S.-born citizens. So when you add, for instance, 11 million undocumented immigrants into that pool that you're taking the average of to determine the average person's likelihood to commit a crime, right? It's going to be lower than if you didn't add them to that pool that you were then taking the average of, right? Because they're less likely to than everyone else, right?
Okay.
So therefore, if you remove them from that pool, you deport them from the country, they're no longer considered in the average person in this country's propensity to commit a crime, then that average crime rate goes up. Right?
Okay. I can see where you're coming from.
Perfect. Math.
But at the end of the day, what you do have to admit, though, is the reason they're called illegal immigrants is because 100% of them come here illegally.
Yeah, so 100%
Committing
of them.
regardless if it's a misdemeanor or a felony, what they are doing is they're coming to this country illegally. So I'd argue 100% of them who are illegal, hence the term.
Okay, so your new argument is that undocumented immigrants committed a misdemeanor upon entering to this country. The question was, what is one-way mass deportation would materially and specifically benefit this country if done? That doesn't answer my question.
Okay, I'm sorry for pivoting. Move on, please.
I mean, are you able to point out one material benefit of mass deportation?
I just did. I still stick with my argument, but I'll give someone else a shot to stay on.
Well, math proved your argument wrong. Because they're less likely to commit crimes. Therefore, if they're no longer considered in the crime rate, the average crime rate will go up because they're less likely to commit crimes on American soil.
Once again, I disagree, frankly. I don't think I can give any reason at the moment, so give me a second, please.
Okay. Well, typically disagreements that are rooted within no reason are chopped up to be emotional, okay? And we're here to talk about the facts. So I'll give you a second, Ryan. You're the last person on the list. Can you name one positive material outcome of mass deportation on this country?
Yeah, I can.
Do it.
All right, can I give you an analogy?
You could do whatever you want to prove your point.
Right.
Just make
So
sure
when
the point that you're proving is one positive material outcome of mass deportation on the country.
Okay, so for example, if a Jew and a nigger have sex and a Jew and a nigger have sex.
All right. So it's just down to you three. So out of the four of you that all told us that you like mass deportation, Matthew, you made the first point. Is proven wrong. Eternal, you made the second point. It's proven wrong. James, you made the third point. It's proven wrong. And then that last guy, Ryan, that I kicked, he just said slurs. So he didn't have an argument for the claim to begin with. All right. So now that we've agreed that none of you, nobody on this panel, right, can name one positive material impact of mass deportation on this country, but simultaneously at the same time, all three of you support it, do you maybe see why I'm hopping into this conversation? I'm like, hey, you shouldn't support it if you can't name its positive outcome, considering its obvious negative outcome of human rights abuse, right? Pulling naked children out of their beds and their homes in Chicago and putting them in backs of U-Haul vans, spending $1 trillion on it in the next 10 years, us losing out on their economic contributions, both in an increase in the taxable revenue, as well as in the GDP and the productivity that they generate in the labor force. Don't you see how what I'm saying here is fair?
Yep. Dean, could I just ask you something? I like to say obviously you're a lot more educated than us, or me at least. So I would probably not. I'm not just gonna agree with you, but I'm definitely not gonna disagree with you because I'd have to do some more research on my own. But as of now, I'm gonna have to say you're right over me, just based off. I know I'm not delusional.
Dude, I actually really appreciate that. That's how this is supposed to go. That's awesome. I appreciate you for being intellectually honest. So we have three of you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get another one or two people up here. Only hop in that queue if and only if you are a Trump supporter, and we're gonna pull you up in here. We're gonna get a larger panel going on, and then we're gonna ask a new question. We're also gonna get Santana up here, but let's try to keep it to a 2v4 or 2v5. Welcome, and what's going on? None of your business. Are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
How old are you?
19.
What year were you born in?
2006.
Perfect. Yo, mate, are you MAGA? Meow. Get out of here. Aero Aviation, are you MAGA? Nope. All right, we're just going to do a 2v4. Phenomenal. Okay, the next question, I'm going to give you guys a heads up on it. Welcome in, Santana. The next question is going to be, do you think that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and a threat to the Constitution and a threat to rule of law? Because my answer to all three of those questions, is he a threat to democracy, Constitution, or rule of law, would be yes, yes, yes. Okay, and that's what we're going to have a conversation about next. Think about it while I'm thanking my donors here, and then we'll hop into it. I want to thank the donors real quick. Jay, thank you so much for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. I really appreciate you for that love, Jay. Show some love to Jay down below in that comment section for the $50. Jay says, FYI, ICE cannot arrest for crimes unrelated to immigration. If if you see someone under attack and the attacker's not identifying themselves, no warrant, you can block them, defend the victim, help get them away, warn others, obstruct injustice. Well, I appreciate you so much for the $50, Jay, as well as Victoria. Thank you so much for the 100 Canadian dollars once again over on that YouTube super chat. Holy fucking shit. Show some love to Jay and some love to Victoria. Victoria, I just read your message there. You were so incredibly kind. Thank you so much for your continued support. You were literally fucking awesome. Show some love to Jay and Victoria down below in that chat, as well as Caroline. Thank you for the $1, and Venmo, who says these boys are making me lose brain cells. Tessa, thank you for the $5. I really appreciate you so much for the love. And Jamie, thank you for the $10, who says, thank you for my daily dose of sanity. So here you go. Have a beer on me. Thank you so much for your kindness, Jamie. Show some love to Jamie for the 10. And Shannon, thank you so much for the $20, who says 5v1 is awesome. Put it towards the Tove Fund. Thank you, Shannon. Also, where do we adopt a gay frog? Well, wherever that crazy lady from yesterday lives, where the Navy's dumping biological weapons from planes, creating storms with rain that turn the frogs gay. Thank you for the $25, Shannon. And then let's see here, Amber, thank you for the $4.20. You guys are being so incredibly kind. Like I said, once again, thank you guys so much for the love. Like, seriously, Victoria, 100 is insane. Jay, 50 is like fucking nuts. Just thank you guys so much. As well as Kellen, this is referring to the last guest. Thank you for the $20. Let's get 200. Kellen W said is Keilyn. Kellen says, dumbass actually said fear-mongering and lying is a good political strategy. Yeah, that was insane. I appreciate you for the $20. As well as Dwayne. Thank you so much for the $20 as well. Show some love to Dwayne. Thank you so much, Kellen and Dwayne. And then Elizabeth with the $10 who says, glad I got to see you live today. Much love. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Show some love to all of our donors. And if you want to be one of them, if you want to support me, if you want to support what we do here, you can find the Venmo and the PayPal right there, as well as in the link tree in my bio on TikTok and in the pinned message of the YouTube stream. And Santana, by the way, welcome in, man. Good to have you here. You could actually join in and hop in on these conversations because it's literally now a 2v4.
Can I just say, you're getting too good when you get bored and you have to create new ways to debate. Like, I was watching this and I'm just like, what in the hell?
Well, this is fun. No, this is great. No, this is a lot of fun. It's great. Ben, thank you for the $10 on Venmo, who says, wow, just heard Dean Withers' car was towed by the HOA. Unbelievable. Nobody has been treated worse. Many are saying that the tow company is run by leftist lunatics. Total disgrace, rigged. I've ordered a full and comprehensive detailed look into this occurrence. Appreciate you for the love, Ben. You actually worded that great. I picked up on the tone about halfway through. You're awesome. All right, folks. So anyways, next topic, as I already said, I think Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, a threat to the Constitution, and a threat to rule of law. Do you agree or disagree? None of your business.
I disagree.
Okay, awesome. Matthew, agree or disagree?
What was it?
Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, the Constitution, and rule of law.
I'd have to say I disagree in some ways.
Okay, disagree in some ways.
You want me to elaborate now?
How about let's just go one topic at a time. Trump's a threat to the Constitution. We already know that none of your business disagrees. Do you disagree with that, Matthew?
I feel like he did like some of the things, whether he likes it or not. I disagree with the things that have been like said. Like first of all, I think like South Park's hilarious, right? But like that's still our president, and he shouldn't have the right to like cancel them, or like what was it, Kimmel or like Fallon?
Yeah, you're talking about just overall.
Yeah.
Does
Like-
Donald Trump protect the law, or is he a threat to the law?
He has been a threat to free speech a lot. Although I do think the free speech is like kind of like absurd what they've been saying, but like
Okay,
it is still America. You still say whatever you
claims
want.
is that the way he's a threat to free speech, you don't really care about because you think the speech is absurd. That's not very conservative.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
I'm just trying to understand what you said, but it sounds like you're not being
whatever
clear.
they should be allowed to say their absurd things because it's America. But I'm saying it is absurd. Like
Okay.
some of the
Well, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you last.
Okay.
Because Eternal, do you think that Donald Trump is a threat to the Constitution?
No, I disagree.
Okay, James, do you think Trump is a threat to the Constitution?
To be completely honest, at face value, I'd have to say yes, simply because he's violated the 22nd Amendment, 14th Amendment, and First Amendment. So it's kind of hard to advocate on something where it's kind of really hard to give a separate point of view on for Trump's perspective.
So Matthew and James, I'm gonna leave you guys just hanging out with us for a second because you guys support Trump even though you agree he's a threat to the Constitution, including some of its most important amendments. I honestly think that's crazier. We'll get around to you two.
Which is more wild.
Exactly, that's more wild. None your business and Eternal. Well, let's go ahead and have a conversation about it because you two do not think that Donald Trump is a threat to the Constitution. Well, honestly, as James down there said, I think he is a threat to the Constitution. In the last 8 months, he's launched an attack on the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 22nd Amendment, and the 10th Amendment. The way that he's launched an attack on the First Amendment is by saying it's illegal to criticize him in the media, getting Jimmy Kimmel kicked off there, then saying he'd sue Disney if they let him back on, trying to find a way to ban the burning of the American flag when SCOTUS ruled that was expressly protected under the First Amendment in the 80s, literally saying, quote unquote, I'm going to take your free speech away. The way that he's attacked the Second Amendment is by directing his Justice Department to attempt to find a way to ban any and all gun ownership for all law-abiding trans American citizens, which even the far-right NRA has publicly been outspoken against as being incredibly unconstitutional. He's violated the 14th Amendment by attempting to find a way to ban birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants born on American soil, even though that right has been guaranteed to them per the 14th Amendment since 1865. And he's infringed on or attacked the 22nd Amendment per Eternal's profile picture, which is Trump 2028. 22nd Amendment would limit any president to 2 terms. He wants to find a way to run for a 3rd. So my question to none of your business and Eternal would be, how can you possibly defend the suggestion that he is not a threat to the Constitution in consideration of all these attacks and other things that I didn't go over because I thought it would make my statement here too verbose?
Well, I just don't think anything that happened before he ran for president is relevant to the conversation.
All of those things happened in the last 8 months after he won the presidency. Already off to a bad start.
Literally.
No, you talked about the 1970s.
He talked about the actual the actual piece of legislation that is in place. The things that he named that were bad is all things that Donald Trump has done since he's been in office this term.
When I said 1970s and 1980s, that's when like SCOTUS ruled that burning the American flag is protected under the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And he's infringing on that ruling today, this term, by trying to find a way to ban the burning of the American flag. I'm sorry that you were confused. Hopefully it's clear now.
Also, I think he's a protector of freedom, actually.
Okay, well, I want you to respond to my claim instead of just making your own claim. He's a protector of freedom. I made it clear how he's either infringed on or served as a threat to the First, Second, 14th, and 22nd Amendment. How can you say that he protects the Constitution even though he's infringed or served a threat to all these things in the last 8 months? What is it? What's the answer?
I would argue that he is actually. Wait, can you repeat the question?
How can you argue that Donald Trump is not a threat to the Constitution in consideration of the incredibly specific violations or threats that I just detailed that Donald Trump has made or done in infringement or in threat of the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 22nd Amendment in the last 8 months?
He sent ICE to keep order and protect the American
Hold on
people.
for a second, Dean. I speak MAGA. May I?
Yeah.
What Dean is saying is Trump keeps dicking around with the Constitution. How can you still support him?
He's keeping order.
Is more specifically, the question was, Trump keeps dicking around with the Constitution. So how could you say he's not dicking around with the Constitution?
Exactly.
Does Matthew have anything to say about that?
Okay, you know what? Eternal, your turn. Take it away. Eternal. Trump keeps dicking around with the Constitution all the ways that I just made clear. So how could you say he's not a threat to it?
Well, I'll say he served a lot of justice to the American people. I would I would say a lot of the proofs that I have are in his first term. If you're okay with that.
What does his first term have to do with my argument? My argument was that in the last 8 months, he's purported many unprecedented constitutional crises because of his disregard for that document. So how could you say he is in service and protects that document, even though he's set forth so many individual, unique constitutional crises in the last 8 months?
Okay, well, first, he already said he will not run in 2028. He said that, I think, on Fox News. He also... Yeah, so we can get rid of the 22nd Amendment.
I disagree with that.
You disagree?
Yeah, just because we know for a fact that Donald Trump tends to say that he knows nothing or he's not going to do this. We can specifically point to Project 2025, where he said that he didn't know anything about it. And then once he got into office, he not only hired multiple people that worked on Project 2025 with the Heritage Foundation, but since then, over 60% of Project 2025 has been implemented. And then he and Brandon Carr openly admitted that Project 2025 was the plan. Brandon Carr admitted on Twitter, and then Donald Trump did so when bringing Russell Vought into the White House. But even more than that, surrogates of Donald Trump, including Steve Bannon, has been loud and proud and going around telling everyone that after the midterm elections, they have plans that are currently in place to ensure that Donald Trump is going to be on the ballot for 2028. So while you may say that, oh, Trump said that he's not going to do it, everything points in the direction of him doing so, including the merchandise that he is selling at the White House, the Trump 2028 hats.
Okay, I'm not sure what the correlation is of Project 2025 and Trump running in 2020.
Donald Trump said he knew nothing about Project 2025. He said he disavowed it, and then as soon as he got power, he immediately started to implement it along with the creators of Project 2025. Just because he says he doesn't know about something or he's not going to do something does not mean that's the truth.
Okay.
But you know what? Fuck it. For the love of the game, fuck the 22nd Amendment. Donald Trump is not going to run for a third term. Selling that merch in the White House. I have no clue what he didn't do that. Going on NBC saying that there's ways he could do it. He never did that. He is not a threat to the 22nd Amendment at all. So what do you have to say about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and the 14th?
So the First Amendment, I totally agree that he tried to get Jimmy Kimmel off, and I feel like that was a bit unfair. I agree with that. I would say...
You agree that he's a threat to the First Amendment. Okay, all right. He's a threat to the Constitution. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, I will admit he is a threat to the First Amendment.
Okay, so he's a threat to the Constitution?
To the First Amendment, yes.
Right, which is a part of what?
Yes.
Right,
yes.
It's a threat to the Constitution. See how we got there?
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy conceded his argument. He passed the mic to you. Then you ended up agreeing. How about this? Can you guys agree?
Sorry, Dean. I kind of have to go.
Oh, no worries, James. You take care, man.
But I watch your lives every day. That way I can educate myself, regardless if I'm conservative or liberal. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Oh, you take care, James. You take care. Okay, none of your business.
Can I?
James. What's that? Oh, he just left too. He's gone. Okay, well, it's now just the two of you, Matthew and Eternal. Well, I mean, how about this? Do you guys want to come up with a claim? Like, what is like one sentence or less? Donald
I mean,
Trump is X,
you
Y,
haven't
Z.
gotten to me yet. You haven't gotten to me yet.
Well, I want you guys to come up with something unique. Give me like one singular claim about why you think Donald Trump is a good president. Donald Trump is this. Donald Trump has done this. What is the one singular claim that represents maybe one of the bigger reasons why you think Donald Trump should be president today?
Donald Trump helped American families in like I would say families as in children. He helped economically as well.
Okay, so Donald Trump helps American families, economically speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I could definitely debate that one. I get 110%.
Can I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So I would start with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
$6,000 as reported by IRS and the increase. Go ahead.
Then I would say the First Step Act. Then I would say paid parental leave for federal employees. I would say Right to Try Act. I would say the Veterans Affairs Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act. I would say Support for Patients and Communities Act. There's so many. I would say Family First Prevention Services Act and VA Mission Act, and even Promoting Women in Entrepreneurship Act.
W's in the chat for ChatGPT.
I mean, it did happen. All these are,
Yeah, you don't know the context of any of it. Like I heard multiple ones that like I'll take one, Dean, if you don't mind.
While you're taking one, I'm actually gonna go use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah. First Step Act. Hey, where did that come from?
You make sure you wash your hands.
Like what it is?
Yeah, no. Where did it come from? Sure, I'll give it to you. First Step Act was an Obama era initiative. It was actually something that was set to be passed while Barack Obama was in office, but Mitch McConnell specifically did not want to give Barack Obama the W on that, and so he blocked it from passing. As soon as Barack Obama got out of office and Donald Trump took power, they then passed the actual bill through the Senate through Mitch McConnell, and Donald Trump did not want to sign it into law. He actually had to be convinced by not only his daughter, but Kim Kardashian to actually sign the bill because it would be a good thing and it's something good that he can put his name on. And he still didn't want to do it because it still had the connection to Barack Obama. So even though Donald Trump signed it into law, it's the same piece of legislation that was constructed and tried to be passed under Barack Obama, but was not passed because the Republican-led Senate understood that it would be a win for Obama and not Trump. See, so you see why I say like just reading stuff off ChatGPT isn't that beneficial because you don't understand the context. So even though Donald Trump did sign that into law, that's not something that he actually did.
Yeah, well, I was unaware of the fact that that all occurred and it was actually Obama, but
There's a ton of them on the list that you just read off, like the actual context and information. Like, I mean, we can continue to go through the
are there
entire
like
list,
specific
but
ones that you don't think he had anything to do with, or he doesn't exactly support?
Well, I mean, the VA Missions Act was nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an extension of the VA Choice Act signed into law under Obama. As far as all the research I've ever done, I honestly think it was an identical bill that didn't do anything. Quite frankly. Oh, and then like other ones, like the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. 75% of the cuts in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act went to the top 1% of income earners in this country, and it cost us $1.9 trillion. Okay, whole lot of debt just to fund tax cuts for the richest among us disproportionately. And by the way, according to a analysis done by two Harvard economists, one right-leaning and one left-leaning, that you could find on the internet by typing in macroeconomic evaluation of the evaluation of the macroeconomic reform. I haven't cited this study in a long time. I forgot its name. One second. I need to look for that. But anyways, what the study says is that it only increased the American GDP by 0.04% per year, which was equivalent to around $30 to $60 billion. So, I mean, I'd say that, all the reasons that you gave insofar as why he's good for American families are incredibly lackluster. Meanwhile, all of the ways in which he is bad for American families are imminent and terrible. Like, for instance, one that is sitting on the minds of 42 million Americans right now is that because of the government shutdown, right, onset by Trump, onset by his supporters for various reasons, as of November 1st, 42 million Americans are expected to lose access to all SNAP benefits. Okay? Right? Emails are already going out in states all across the country saying that they will not have any money from food stamps, from SNAP benefits, right, to put food on the table for them and their families. That is insane. Not to mention the fact that Kamala Harris ran on an increase in the child tax credit that is 3 times higher than what Donald Trump implemented under the Big Beautiful Bill, which would have increased, more so reduced childhood poverty in this country by upwards of 40 to 60% per the outcomes of the American Rescue Plan when the Biden-Harris administration did it 4 years ago. Not to mention, right, the Big Beautiful Bill is taking healthcare away from 10 million low-income Americans. Think about how that's going to impact the children of these low-income Americans that are now having to go out of pocket for thousands and thousands of dollars to pay for checkups, to pay for common procedures that they need to stay alive, that they need to prolong their life, and how that's going to impact their children because now they don't have enough money to get them school supplies, buy them dinner 7 days a week, so on and so forth. And according to the Big Beautiful Bill, it is defunding federal food stamps by $156 billion, which is expected to take those benefits away from 3 million low-income Americans in the next 10 years. Not to mention that according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, the Big Beautiful Bill is expected to reduce the average purchasing power of the average American making at or under $51,000 per year by making these benefits more unaffordable and by increasing the price of energy by upwards of $500 per year for the average American household, by defunding and rolling back clean energy production subsidies, which is expected to reduce the clean energy production in this country by 72%. Also, one more time, not to mention the detrimental impact of pro-life legislation on the family unit in this country. In areas that are pro-life compared to areas that are pro-choice, we see worse educational outcomes. We see higher levels of poverty. We see lower median wages. And we see lower, we see less individuals employed, and we see lower qualities of life. Why? Well, because pro-life policy forces the family dynamic away from 2 consenting adults that desire to start a family and want to have kids into forcing 18, 19, and 20-year-old boys and girls, men and women, into becoming mothers and fathers against their will, against the will of the woman, because their state legislator thinks that she shouldn't be able to access health care. And the only reason why their state legislator has a say today is because Donald Trump nominated 3 justices to SCOTUS in his first term specifically to overturn Roe v. Wade. So those are many reasons why Donald Trump is incredibly harmful for the family unit. I could go on all day. Like, seriously, this is just one of those topics I could, go on and on and on about. But I'll stop there.
May I add 2 cherries on the top really quick?
If I could add one cherry after that.
Got it. Just one thing, would Dean mention the 42 million people losing out on SNAP benefits? That's going to be $8 billion in SNAP benefits. Not only is that going to be the people who get those benefits that are going to be harmed, but so subsequently, the businesses is going to be taking that $8 billion out of the actual economy. It's not going to be used. And then when you talk about the, what was the second one? That was the second one. Fuck it. I forgot it. Never mind. Go ahead, Dean.
No, we'll just leave it there. Go ahead, guys.
Okay. So I just saw my evidence to prove that Donald Trump was an positive economic president was false, and clearly you have more proof that he's not. So.
Okay. Thanks, guys. You have a good one. There's the end of the panel. For now, we're gonna move on to the next guest. Jesus Christ, Kimberly, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Kimberly with the $20 says, "Please tell none of your business that it is none of his business to be debating politics." Yo, fucking for real. Thank you for the $20, Kimberly. Let's get 200 Kimberly W's, as well as Brittany. Thank you for the $20 on Venmo as well. Brittany says, "When guests respond to mass amnesty with quote unquote they're all criminals, that's saying somebody who robs a bank at gunpoint and somebody who stole a bag of rice to feed their kids deserve the same punishment because they're both thieves." Love you. Thought I would give you that analogy. That is a very good analogy, Brittany. Actually fire. Thank you so much for the $20. Show some love Show some love to Brittany, as well as Kim. Thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo. Thank you, Kim. Let's get 250 W, Kim. Kim's in the live chats. You guys have been so fucking generous today. Thank you guys so much for the love. Kim with the $25 says, as a Christian, I love how you handle abortion. Keep it up. I actually think I have some great fucking like pro-Christian, like pro-abortion arguments. I like him. Thank you so much for
Yeah, but
for
you need to
noticing
run
me,
that
Kim.
mandatory vasectomy.
Yeah, I don't run that point. Maybe it's because I just don't understand. Maybe I could understand it a little bit better. As well as Baxter, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo. As well as Ali, thank you so much for the $5 on PayPal. Ali, I just read your message. I'm really sorry to hear that. Thank you for being here, and I hope that your day's going all right. I mean, that's really sad news. The passing of your grandma. Really sorry to hear that, Ali. As well as Matthew, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal, who says day 2 of donating. Love your streams, Dean. Keep it up. I remember you from yesterday, Matt. Thank you so much for the $20. Show some love to Matthew down below in that chat. As well as Tasha, thank you so much for the 10, who says thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much, Tasha. And Elite Gunner, thank you so much for the 5. All right. You guys are awesome. Let's go and get that next Trump supporter loaded up into the stream. By the way, folks, we probably only have time for around one more guest. I'm already very tired. I've technically been live for how long now?
Can I run a couple quick thank yous?
Yeah, I've been live for 4.5 hours.
Mahika, thank you for the 1. You're awesome. Melissa, thank you so much for the 5. Danielle, thank you so much for the 20. I'm glad that you did. Lindsay, it was tough, but thank you for the 1. Emmy, thank you so much for the 20. You're fucking awesome. And also, I think it's pronounced Samaya. Thank you so much for the 20. You're fucking awesome. Thank you.
Good evening, you guys.
Hey, do you support Trump?
Oh, I do. Correct.
Age, please.
I just turned 18 back in June.
Okay, what year were you born in?
I was born in 2007.
You sound very unsure.
No, I just gotta think. I don't keep this stuff right at the top of my head because I've been focusing myself more on politics.
You've been focusing. He sounds more on politics, so therefore.
Yeah.
Right, you don't like.
I can't really think.
You know,
Plus,
like,
it's
really like you can't like really easily remember like what year you were born in.
Plus, it's like 8 o'clock for me, and I've been working, so.
Okay. Well, do you think if like you focus on politics hard enough, you'll just like forget how to make your heart beat?
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop. I'm just saying, like, you know, birth year.
No, that was good. That was good.
Okay. Listen. By the way, if you're watching and you want to support me, you want to support Santana, same thing goes for him. You could find my Venmo, my PayPal right there on the top of the phone, and you could find it in the link tree in my bio. I get 100% of all the proceeds over on those platforms. You could even attach a message, and I could read it off on live while giving you a shout out. I appreciate everyone so much for all the love today. You guys have been incredibly kind. You could also find the V and the P, the Venmo and the PayPal, and the pin message of that YouTube stream. Go ahead and take it away. Why do you support Trump as president?
I do. So I agree with most stuff that he talks about, especially when it's coming to immigration control. And yeah, obviously I can agree that he does do a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, which is like, in the last stuff he says, especially when it was coming to that one topic with his daughter, that was kind of disturbing to me. But overall, I do support him more than I would Kamala Harris.
And why is that?
So a lot of stuff I've seen with Kamala Harris, there's been more, I feel like, more evil than there was good. And I can say the same thing.
So describe Kamala Harris as evil to us. What are her? Describe that evil. Let's hear it.
Multiple stuff she said during the presidential debate she did lie about. I'd have to go back because I've written down notes of it, but I'd have to find that notebook.
Well, I mean, it's just a claim that you made, so I'd appreciate if you could justify it. Sure, I would love to know, right? What is evil about Kamala Harris? Seriously, let's hear it, right?
Also, I mean, if it's evil, it should be something that you should be able to recall like pretty easily because it should stick out. I mean, evil is a pretty strong term.
Well, mainly, I didn't mean evil in fully, but I meant like unfit. I didn't really fully unfit.
Okay,
you know
so
what I mean?
Just be clear. Like, what did Kamala Harris do that you saw as a red line? That something that she did that made her unfit for the presidency that you could just never get behind.
There's just like I felt like she was lying about a lot of stuff, especially when it came to and repeating stuff in almost a lot of her interviews. When it came down to her trying, like trying to justify her race because she said she was Indian at one point, then she said she was African American. That was confusing.
Wow. Well, listen, it's confusing if you don't understand that people can be two races at once. Like, sure, if you only
Well, I
think
get
that
that.
if you only think a person could be one race, right? Then I don't doubt that it would be confusing when you hear Kamala Harris say on one occasion that she's South Asian and on another occasion that she's black. But as soon as you consider the fact that people have two parents and you get genetics from both of them, meaning you could be more than one race, that she's actually both South Asian and black simultaneously at any given point in time.
This is true.
I
And
apologize,
she
I don't
embraces
think that's
both parts of her, which is something that, you know, most biracial people do. So
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't think that far at that point, but also then she kept getting repetitive on the her growing up in the middle class when many people have and do grow up in the middle class.
Dude,
I love how
dude,
they don't engage with points.
no, he's
Like, they
making
just
a
move
point.
on to the next
No,
thing.
he's making a point. I want to engage in this one. So you're saying the evil, okay, the bad thing that
I didn't
Kamala
say-
Harris did that made her just simply unfit to serve. Your red line against her was her repeating a couple times that she grew up in a middle class family. What's worse, repeating that you've grown up in a middle class family or raping a woman? What the fuck is worse, repeating that you grew up in a middle class family or
Rapists aren't
boasting about sexually exploiting naked girls and naked women? What's worse, repeating that you grew up in a middle class family or literally trying to coup the government and rig the outcome of a federal election like Trump did in 2020? I could go on all day, dude. Donald Trump, right, doesn't just do something that's worse than repeating that you're in a middle class family every day. He does something that's worse than that like every minute of every hour of every day. Every breath that Donald Trump takes in is worse than Kamala Harris repeating that she like was grown and raised in a middle class family. Get real. Get real, dude.
Well, if you heard me earlier, I didn't mean to say evil. I meant repetitive and just like saying stuff that shouldn't really matter much when it comes to debating, especially.
But like, how does that make
there's a lot of
Kamala
people
Harris worse than Trump? Like, I know that those questions that I just asked were rhetorical, but now I'm actually just going to ask one of them literally. Literally, what's worse,
No,
repeating that you've grown up in a middle class family or raping a woman?
So I agree with the rape woman is a lot worse. That
Okay,
is
so then
not
you
good
think
at all.
you think that Donald Trump is worse than Kamala Harris, right?
Not when it comes to political reasons. If it came down to, person-wise, people-wise, Trump is not the greatest person either. But nobody's great, nobody's perfect at all. And yeah, Trump has done bad
So
stuff.
you think that Kamala
And-
Harris? So you think that Kamala Harris repeating that she grew up in a middle class family is more relevant to the presidency than Donald Trump raping a woman and calling for her to be thrown in jail?
That's not what I was saying.
Okay, well,
That
then
I
how
was
is
talking
Kamala
about-
Harris repeating that she grew up in a middle class family relevant to her presidency insofar as you determining that she's unfit to serve, but Donald Trump raping a woman isn't?
Well, like I said, I have stuff in the notebooks down somewhere that I have labeled between Trump versus Kamala. I literally have to go find that. I know I have somewhere in my garage.
Okay, well, if you want to find that, I feel as if that's gonna be the only way for us to continue our debate. Erica, thank you so much for the 70 Canadian dollars over on Super Chat. Jesus, Erica, thank you so much for your kindness. Erica with the 70 big ones says, Canadian here, what you're doing is so important to spread truth over lies. Keep up the good work. Elbows up. We are with you. Erica, thank you so much for your kindness. Dude, thank you. That is like a ridiculous amount of money. Please, if you're watching the live, show some love to Erica down below in the chat for the 70 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much. As well as Raquel, thank you for the $5 on Venmo, who says, I appreciate you using your platform to educate. Thank you, Raquel. And Caesar, thank you so much for the $10 as well, saying, why would you think a person, quote unquote, Trump that's been bankrupt, that has bankrupt 7 businesses would be good for the economy? Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, right? Thank you guys so much for the love. I really do appreciate it. So it looks like, once again, the only way for us to continue our conversation here is going to be if you find that notebook. Do you want to find that notebook, or should I move on to our next guest?
Oh, I can definitely go look for it if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Santiago, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal, who says, thank you for making America great again. And also my drive home from work in traffic better. Yo, listen, these streams are pretty fun to listen to when you're like on a long drive, doing chores. I completely get it. I do the same thing when like Parker's live. Thank you for the $10, Santiago. As well as Heidi. Thank you so much for the $30 on PayPal. On Venmo. Thank you, Heidi. Heidi with the $30 just drops a little heart emoji All the love in the world to you, Heidi. Thank you so much for your kindness. Let's show some love to true American patriot Heidi down below in that chat for the 30 fucking big ones. Thank you, Heidi. Fantastic, quite frankly.
Really quick, Lauren, thank you so much for the 25. I really appreciate you. You're way too kind. Amy, thank you so much for the 5. I try to break it down and make it easy for people to understand. Kendall, thank you so much for the 1. You're fucking awesome. Jennifer, thank you so much for the 25 from the 509. What's the 509? I have to look that area code up. I appreciate you. And also, Alberta, thank you so much for the $50 fucking saying love that you and Dean are together, keeping it together, dripping real-ish. That was a little bit, above me, but I appreciate it. W's in the chat, thank you so much for that.
Oh, that just means real shit.
Dripping? I'm old.
Dripping real-ish. I would assume that would mean talking real shit,
Okay.
You
can just say keeping it cool. I'll take that one.
Maybe in the 90s. Maybe in the 90s. You gotta get with the days, old man.
Man.
We're dripping real-ish now. We're not keeping it cool anymore. We're dripping real-ish, all right?
My son said, "Dad, do you want to see me mew?" I said, "What?"
Wait, you have a son?
I have 2 boys.
Oh
yes.
my God, Zendaya!
Yes.
Why didn't I know this? You're a father?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God! What the fuck? I feel so out of the loop. Do you publicly speak about this on the internet
No,
often?
not really.
Okay.
No.
Oh
no,
wow.
No, not. Yeah.
Wow. I had no clue. I had no clue that you had 2 sons. Huh.
Yeah.
You learn
Hey,
something
Dean,
every
I
day.
cannot find that notebook. I apologize. I cannot find that notebook.
Go, bro. You're chilling.
Notebook was a lifeline.
Oh man. Yo, Serene, that is Sirene. Thank you for the $15 on PayPal. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do, though. You've helped me learn and understand so much. I feel so much more confident anytime I debate anybody since I've started watching your stream. Have a great night. Well, thank you so much for the love, Serene. Listen, I bet these live streams prep you motherfuckers on, how to absolutely just destroy some Trump supporters. I think it's great. I think it's great. I think that's awesome. Oh, you are.
What's going on here?
You are definitely not a Trump supporter. Hey, listen, thank you.
No, sir. But I do have a march that I'm trying to do. And on February 28th, we're trying to get 3 million people to DC, and we're trying to get veterans to lead the march. It is a march for democracy.
Are you in contact with 5051 DC?
I am not. I do have
DM them.
support from 5051 Harrisburg.
Yeah. Listen, go on Instagram. This group of people will be extremely helpful. Go to Instagram, type in 5051 DC, and drop them a DM.
Yeah.
Can I show you guys the flyer before I get off here?
Also, Angry Army vet Matt. He's actually in DC now, and he's out with the coalition as far as the veterans that have been in DC. Camping out in the area, so
yeah,
I know Matt. I'm friends with Matt. I need to get this out everywhere possible I can.
Listen, dude, get involved with 5051 DC. Tell them if they're down to organize it. Then I'll talk about it on my live and I'll spread the word. Okay, get the backing from 5051 DC and tell them to DM me and I will happily help talk about it on the live. Hell yeah, dude. Also, Jolly Good Ginger, he's another vet in DC who's always doing this kind of stuff. Get the backing from 5051 and you fucking got it, man. Let's go to get that next guest loaded up into the box right now, guys. Only hop in that queue if and only if you are an American adult that supports Trump. This is definitely going to be the last guest of the day.
Christina, thank you so much for the 20. You're amazing. Stacy, thank you so much for the 10. You're freaking awesome. Ashton, thank you for the 5. My kids don't actually know about my online persona, but they do know Dean and Parker. They literally, I've showed them clips of both Dean and Parker, just not me. And Sarah, thank you so much for the 25. Yes, we are old. I appreciate you.
What's up, Claiborne?
This guy's blackfishing.
What?
This is not him. This is not him. The picture that he's using is a dead guy.
I'm a real
It's a
man.
dead black
Ain't
guy
no
that he's
black
actually
man.
using, and he likes to go around the internet and harass black people with it.
Oh, Oh, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a horrible person.
Yeah, what the fuck? Liv, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for that love, Liv. Let's get 200 Liv W's. Liv says, I used to resent politics during my teens and early 20s because it was used as a tactic of manipulation by my uncle. Why won't it show me the rest of your message? Why has it been doing this? One second. I want to finish reading Liv's message here. Like I said, I try to read every single one. Liv says,
I hate when it does that.
I know, right? It was used as a tactic by my uncle to make me feel unintelligent. I'm 29 now, and you've given me the courage to fight back against his bigoted MAGA scare tactics. Thank you so much for everything. You know, Liv, I have some family members that are probably very similar to your uncle. I remember before I got into politics, right, that espouse all their conspiracy theory bullshit to me. And I just didn't know how to respond to it because I wasn't in politics. But now that I am, it's just so very easy now to just prove it wrong and to get them off their high hill. So I'm really happy that my stream has been able to do that for you. Thank you for the $20, Liv. Show some love to Liv. As well as Amy, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal for dealing with all the MAGA idiots. And Kimberly, thank you so much for the $10 as well. Thank you so much, Amy and Kimberly. Oh, and Caitlin, thank you so much for the $25 over on PayPal, who says, me here again from Canada. Love what you're doing. Keep it up. Love watching, and go Jays go. Well, thank you, Caitlin. It's so good to see you again. And thank you for the 25 Canadian dollars. You were awesome. All of you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the love. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Fuck you.
Does support Trump. 100.
He waited all that long, that patient, just to do that.
Yeah, 110% MAGA. But gotta kick him from the live for screaming slurs. Let's go to move on here.
Julia, thank you so much for the 10. Yes, I wear the red hat to confuse them. I make them feel comfortable with the red hat. That's specifically why I wear that. Audie, thank you so much for the 5. You're amazing. Fucking massive W's in the chat for Tomio. Tomio sent $100 donation. Holy fuck. Thank you so much for that, Tomio. You're amazing. And also, Lauren, thank you so much for the 5. You're fucking awesome. Thank you, guys.
One big one here. Nicole, thank you so much for the $35 on Venmo. Nicole says, keep standing up for the rights of all people. Fighting for democracy is so important. Listen, we're fighting for it together, man. There's millions of Americans out there that are doing the same work or similar work. Thank you so much for the $35, Nicole. Huge fucking shout out to you. W's in the chat for all the donors. Once again, if you want to support myself or Santana, you can find my Venmo and PayPal on the top of the screen, in the link tree in my bio and TikTok, and in the pinned message of that YouTube stream. And you can find Santana's pay links in the link tree in his bio as well. What's up? Do you support Trump? Nope. All right. Well, we're at 4 hours on the debates. We're at nearly 5 hours on the stream as a whole. I am so tired. So I think it's ready. It's getting to be time for me to hop off for the evening.
I think it's a good decision. You can tell when your energy starts to drop from earlier in your live towards the end.
Yeah.
You can see it when it's time.
Yeah, and I didn't have a water cup with me today, so I'm starting to get a little dehydrated, and that's causing me to feel really lightheaded. So I need to go grab some food, grab some water.
Yeah.
But listen,
I don't think people understand how much that you have to have a bunch of water and just to stay hydrated while you're doing it. So.
Yeah, I gotta say, out of all the forms of live streaming, doing these live streams and debating politics is probably the most mentally intensive. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People that live stream for a living have a pretty easy life, and I could admit that 110%. I'm very fucking privileged, 110%. But out of how hard or easy the different kinds of live streaming can be, I'd say this type of live streaming compared to other types of live streaming is a whole lot harder. I feel like I wouldn't be this drained if I spent the last 4 hours playing Call of Duty, for instance.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't understand, and I see how much time and energy you're putting into your content as well. And when you do actual content on top of lives, that's a lot. That is absolutely a lot. So.
Yeah, I think it's much easier and even sometimes more enjoyable for me to do videos and whatnot. So I've been trying to ramp it up a little bit. But anyway, Santana, I really appreciate you so much for joining.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. Oh, really quick, one more. Misty, thank you so much for the 5. 509. I didn't know that was okay. I'm 206. That's why I didn't realize that, but I appreciate you. But Dean, thank you for having me up, bro. I'll see you later.
Yeah, see you later, man. You take care. Peace. All right, everyone. It has been a long day for me, starting off with the toe gate. Oh no. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this small little conservative town. I wouldn't doubt it if I move here pretty soon. But I'm gonna go to end the stream for the night. Go grab some food. Go grab some water and go hit the gym. Peace and love, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.